Hey everybody, Rose Matter here. Welcome to part 12 of my Higurashi When They Cry Minagoroshi Let's Play. And what I am hoping and assuming is going to be the finale for this chapter. It's probably going to be an extra long episode this week as well, so strap yourselves in. I hope you guys are excited because I am excited. It seems like it's coming to an end here with Rika and the club members and the police. Hopefully Oishi will get to her in time versus the Mountain Dogs and Takano. We'll see how things go. Will Rika survive this chapter? We'll have to wait and see. It is the massacre chapter, so I'm not too hopeful, but maybe this will be the happy ending that we're hoping for. But there is only one way to find out. We are going to get into it. We are going to see how this chapter ends, so let's go.
腹減りましたね。途中で食事に寄った方が良かったんじゃないですか？
そうですね。もうすぐ8時か。お昼が遅かったから忘れてました。
Oh no, Oishi won't get it there in time because he stopped for dinner.
とりあえず話を聞いたら、おたふくにお茶漬けでも食べに行きましょう。
I'm glad he's taking this seriously.
警官を4人行かせてましたよね。交代を送らないと答える頃ですね。古出さんが気を利かせて出前でも取っててくれればいいんですがね。
Oishi and Kumagai had passed through Okonomiya and were getting closer and closer to Hinamizawa. They hurried on their way, driving through the dark streets. I'm so worried he's going to get stopped by the mountain dogs and get killed.
古出理香の全てを話そうっていうのはとても気になるっすよね。
多分相当とんでもない話が飛び出しますよ。あの村はね、本当の名前は鬼ヶ淵村。鬼ヶ淵ってのは沼ですからね。沼の名を冠した村なわけです。
沼なだけにそこが知れませんね。古出理香の護衛ですけどどうします？
彼女の話次第では秘密の場所にかくまった方がいいでしょうね。Hinamizawaってのは村が丸ごと魔物の腹中と同じなんです。
But then there's the whole problem where there's a thing where if Rika leaves the village, then it's going to cause everybody to succumb to the disease and they're all going to go crazy.
あの
So
村の中では何が起こるかわからない。とにかく聞いてみないことにはわかりません。
古出家の当主が命を狙われていて、園崎家次期当主はそれを守ろうと思っている。そんな状況下で誰が古出理香を？あとは君吉家くらいしか勢力が思いつかないです。
君吉家には臭い話は聞いてないんだけどな。やっぱり村には信仰を軸にした勢力が隠れてるってのかな。沼の底がどうなってるのか楽しみです。
the road they were on was cutting through the rice fields, leading them to pass by the scene of Jiro Tomataki's murder.
高野が富武を放置した。そこまでは間違いないと思いますが、富武のあの異常な死に方は一体何だってんでしょう。鑑識のじいさま、覚醒剤は出なかったって言ったんですよね。
確かに薬物反応は出なかったそうですが、この世にはおかしな薬なんてきっと無数にある。それら全部が間違いなく使われていないなんて保証は誰にも出せませんよ。自分が知らない薬だから実在しないなんて、そんな傲慢は刑事が口にしちゃいけない。あったからにはあるんです。だからきっと富武に首をかき破らせる薬は実在する。そいつは犯人逮捕の折にたっぷり喋ってもらいますよ。あるいは古出理香が話してくれると一番嬉しいんですがね。熊ちゃんも今回の山で決めつける捜査がどれだけ冤罪を生み出してきたかよく分かったでしょう。
ありゃひどかったっすね。あいつうちの署に嫌がったら俺でも許さないところです。
結局最後まで間違いは認めてませんからね。お隣さんはあくまでもあの死体は高野美代だったで通すつもりのようです。でもうちは高野美代生存でいきますよ。あとは県警同士のトップ会談で決着するでしょう。向こうのボンミスは確定してるんですから、認めると怒られると思って躍起になって上乗りしてるんですよね。いやはやそういう体質は改めないといけません。
Oh, the car suddenly shook. God damn it. Yep. The concrete road had ended, leaving only gravel. Oh, okay. I am so on edge right now. I'm so afraid he's not going to get to Rika. I feel like something's going to happen to him. At the point where the gravel road begins, you're officially in Hinamizawa. They continue to drive through the woods for a while.
クマちゃん、ちょいと止めて。
は？
Uh-oh. Oishi had told him to stop immediately. Kumagai quickly slammed on the brakes. Oh no. Their seatbelts tightened up, keeping them in their seats.
どうしたんですか？
あの車、
Oh no.
何やってんだろうな。こんなところで。
Oishi tapped on the rearview mirror. There was a van parked just off the road. And it's a van! We know who's in the van. The mountain dogs. Rather beat up, it looked like it was used for a private company. Just keep going. Just keep going. There was no reason for someone to park their car there, especially at this time of night. Kumagai also thought it looked suspicious. The car seemed empty, but there was a light flashing in the woods nearby. Probably a flashlight.
不審ですね。こんな時間に。それにしてもよく気づきましたね。
いつも言ってます。刑事は四六時中目を皿にしてろってことです。何やってんだろうな。不法投棄か
Oh,
な。
I know he's gonna go check it out, but I just want him to get back in the car and just go, just get to Rika.
まさか死体埋めてるんじゃないだろうな。あるいは刺激不足のアベックかな。車のセンスからしてそれはないか。なあ、沖宮 PS どうぞ。聞こえてるかな。なっはっは。こんばんは、さようなら。
こちら沖宮 PS 感度良好です。
車両ナンバー紹介お願いします。獅子骨ハノ4344。
不詳獅子骨歯の4344。少々お時間もらいますがよろしく
お願いします。
おいさん、
No, don't wait.
地図で見るとここ、電話会社の施設がありますね。
電話会社の施設って何ですかそりゃ。
It was listed as a facility, but it wasn't staffed. It was just a place where machines were installed. Kumagai wasn't sure how telephone lines actually worked, but either way, it seemed like some kind of connecting device was located there.
普通のワゴンだよな。電話会社にゃ見えませんね。
電話会社なら、そう書いた車で来るはずっすよね。
委託の伝説業者か何かの可能性もあります。直接聞いた方が早そうですね。
Oh no, you're gonna die, you're gonna die. Oishi wasn't sure if this was the case. After all, why would any phone company go do maintenance so late at night?
ちょいと行ってみましょうか。
Ugh, famous last words.
コルデさんたちを待たせてますからね。パパッ。
そうっすね。
His well-honed detective instinct was trying to tell him something. This feeling wasn't one that Oishi could easily explain. He has a strong sense that something was suspicious without any real reasoning behind it. Oishi trusted he could judge others' character with that sense.
ウグイス2よりウグイス1。
Yeah, damn it. Here comes that music, which means things about to pop off.
車両が1台停車。2人降りました。おそらく刑事です。そちらへ接近中。1分未満で接触します。
It was pitch black, yet they could see the two newcomers clearly. They were probably using a night vision scope.
了解。全隊員注意せよ。ウグイス2から5はグリーンライトを待て。ウグイス7から8は前後 100m のクリアを確認せよ。
待機。ウグイス4、5。聞こえたな。
ウグイス4了解。
ウグイス5了解。
ウグイス7了解。
ウグイス8了解。
ウグイスより本部。ウグイスより本部。電話設備工作中にトラブル。私服警官2名
Oh,
の
a
職質と思われ
modification of the phone facility, huh?
発砲許可を申請。
Oh shit, open fire, yep, they're
本
done.
部了解。許可を待て。
By the time Oishi and Kumagai reached the phone facility, they were being watched from all directions. There were 2 pairs of binoculars, and 2 sniper rifles pointing at them. Shit. The mountain dog operatives worked in a 2-man units, a sniper and spotter to secure the means of retreat. They had all taken different positions so they could shoot Oishi no matter where he tried to run. They were all in camouflage suits, hiding deep in the woods. Oishi, of course, had no chance of spotting them. The snipers had their rifles trained on the detectives' heads. I wonder if they would have killed him regardless if they realized who it was, or if they're just going to kill him because he's stopping to investigate. Oishi and Kumagai had no idea that they were on the verge of losing their very lives. The sniper rifles had their safeties on, but a flick of their thumbs would release them. In other words, they were ready to shoot if given the order. The detectives found the fenced-in machinery right behind the parked van. There was a sign there saying it was the property of the Nippon Telegraph and Telephone Corporation, and another sign warning people to keep away.
どうもこんにちは。
すみません。作業中ですんで入らないでもらえますかね。
There were 4 men working there wearing blue overalls. They had a toolbox open and were working on some wires.
どうも仕事中お邪魔してすみません。警察の者でございます。いえね、不思議なところに不思議な時間に車が止まっていたもので、どうしちゃったのかなと思いまして。
そうですか。うちらももうちょっとで終わりますんで。
おたくらどちらさんです？電電の人じゃないでしょう。
ああ、失礼しました。おこのぎ電気設備工事と申します。あれすみません。名刺を切らしちゃってるみたいです。
おこのぎ電気設備工事さんって会社どちらです？
はい。沖宮になりますけど。
It's funny, it'd be a lot easier these days. You just have to open up your phone, check it out, look and see if there's such a thing, find out where it is, and he'd have the information in like 10 seconds.
会社の電話番号と住所を教えてください。
なんでそんなこと聞きますか？
電話番号忘れちゃいました？
Oishi looked at them with a piercing glare. Their response was very suspicious. Usually, the vehicle of an electric company is full of various types of electrical equipment and repair tools. However, the van parked there had nothing inside, and it looked just like an ordinary car. Also, a company vehicle usually has the name of the company painted on it. But this one was just a plain van with no markings on it. None of that was the reason Oishi found them suspicious, though. It was their attitude that bothered him. They didn't sound nor look like typical contractors. They were obviously not electricians. It was far too late in the day, and there were far too many of them. They were also clearly suspicious Oishi. However, that was all he could tell just by looking around. He found them suspicious but had no idea what they were up to. One of the men told Oishi the phone number. Kumagai wrote down the number so he could ask the station to call and confirm it was real.
私らそんな怪しいもんじゃありませんって。
あんたら怪しすぎですって。一体何者です？委託業者なら作業写真用に作業前作業後とか書かれた黒板とかあったりするでしょう。そういうのもないですし、だいたいあんたたちの雰囲気が違いすぎます。
おまわりさん、そんな意地悪言われちゃかなわないです。勘弁してください。私ら早く作業を終えて帰らなきゃならないんです。
Judging from their progress, it didn't look like they'd be cleaning up anytime soon. In fact, it almost seemed like they were just getting started.
もう化けの皮は剥がれてんだよ兄ちゃん。電気屋に化けるときはまずバイトして勉強してからにしな。
Oishi raised his voice threateningly. He did. The members of the Mountain Dogs gradually started to look more and more annoyed. Oishi looked over their expressions and gave them a big wide grin. However, Oishi had no idea. He thought he could handle these suspicious people with no issues. Of course, in reality, they were horrific demons that he had no chance against. Meanwhile, Kumagai was heading back to the car. He was intending to contact the police department. He was going to call the station using the radio. Obviously, they're not going to let him have that chance. Then, in turn, the police department would contact the NTT. That way, it would become clear who they were really dealing with.
本部よりウグイス1
Oh, there's the chimes.
発砲許可。ウグイス7
Here we go. Here we go. God damn it.
ウグイス8クリア。
The sniper was still aiming at Kumagai's head as he headed back toward the car. The safety, that last line protecting Kumagai's life, was disengaged. The sniper put his finger on the trigger. He was wearing a glove with the fingertips cut out. The finger poking through the hole was very rough and merciless. For as soon as he slightly moved that finger, he would take someone's life.
ウグイス1より狙撃班。 オールグリーン。
Kumagai heard a quiet noise. It was similar to the sound of the jump rope he used to use as a whip when he was little. And that was the last thought Kumagai had in this world. Kumagai collapsed onto the gravel. Oh goddamn, that was it? He didn't even twitch. Oh damn. Oishi was laying on his back on the concrete after getting shot in the chest. His lungs were filled with blood, which began to pour out of his mouth. I knew he wasn't gonna make it back, but goddamn it, I had a little bit of hope. Oishi only realized he'd been shot when the world began to blur before his eyes. As his world keeled over, he saw the man in a work uniform leveling a gun at him, but it didn't matter anymore as he started drowning on his own blood. Goddamn. Shit. So someone did, I think I mentioned the last episode how I was like, I think I mentioned about how I don't think Oishi had died in any of the chapters. Apparently someone told me he died in one of the chapters. So, well, that's gonna be 2 now.
先ほどのナンバーが判明しました。大石はどうぞ。大石社、応答願います。ああ、電波悪いのかな。大石社、応答願い。
出ませんね。
大石さんが車両紹介？誰の車だよ。
村人の車ですね。至って平凡な。
何者だよ。大石さんが聞いてくるからにはただものじゃないんだろ。
突起事故欄は完全に空欄ですね。
Give us a name, give us a name.
S 号指定もなし、減点もなしだし。
バッシングでもされて腹が立ったんじゃないの？あの人根に持つとなかなか忘れないタイプなんだよ。
ウグイスより本部2名を射殺、作業を再開。
本部了解。警官の車両処理は慎重に行われたし。
That's crazy. Like, Oishi's such a big part of this, and then just like that, he's done.
サンサ、
And they're just
ウグ
moving
イスは
on.
警官2名を排除、作業を再開。
Oh
お
damn!
やすみなさい、大石さん。
Look at you. You're looking like some sort of like Russian general or something. Like, damn.
私の尻尾をつかめてもう一息だと思ったでしょうに。残念。コーヒーをもらえるかしら。
どうぞ。しかし厄介な展開になってきましたね。R 宅には依然私服警官数名とそれから友人数名がいるそうです。 R は自分が今夜殺されることに感づいているとしか思えません。作戦が漏れています。やはり決行は延期すべきでは。
明日の朝には死体が見つかっていないといけないのよ。
Well, there goes the whole thing. I was thinking that maybe Takano, maybe she's trying to protect Rika. Nope. Nope.
お偉いさんたちの日程上、その日が一番都合がいいって話なんだから。
I like how he's still holding out hope. Maybe Oishi will survive. Maybe Takano doesn't actually want to kill Rika. Well, not the case.
作戦は決行します。
The crucial part of this final mission was the death of Rika and what came after that, which is if she dies, then the whole town goes crazy, I guess. They couldn't just kill her whenever they wanted. Doing it at the right time was vital.
山犬による過剰な警備にかえって過敏に反応したのでしょうか。
違うわね。漏洩じゃない。予言よ、あれは。富武の死と、そして私ですら知り得なかった偽装死体の状態まで知っていた。あの子は女王なのよ。Hinamizawaの頂上存在の頂点に立つ女王で、巫女で降臨したるお社様の血脈に連なる正当な末裔。神を欺くことなどできない。知られるのは宿命だったのよ。フルでリカをあっさり暗殺などできるわけがなかった。いいわよ、リカちゃん。あなたと私、どちらがお社様の伝説を受け継ぐにふさわしいか勝負しようじゃない。あなたの死はお社様のたたりの最後を飾り、この村の伝説のフィナーレを飾る。私の作り上げた物語はその時こそ本当のたたりになるの。
I still am like, what is her end game? Does she have, like, this Tokyo group, they've got some sort of, obviously the ulterior motive, but does Takano have some sort of her own ulterior motive? Because she obviously believes in the curse. And I was like, I feel like she's doing this for her own reasons, you know? Oh, how is this gonna go? I mean, the club members are awesome, but I'm just like, oh, they're going up against the Mountain Dogs and the secret organization, and they only got like 4 cops to protect them. It was now past 8 p.m. Mion ordered some noodles for us, her treat. We also ordered some food for the 4 officers, and we ate together. Why can't Mion get like her get her family here too? It's like get like a car. Get her, her father's side, get the, the Yakuza, and just transport her somewhere safe. Take her over to the torture dungeon, the torture place over at her house. Be pretty secured. We were supposed to call it a night as soon as we talked to Oishi, but he's still not here. However, we all took it easy, assuming they'd get here sooner or later. It's getting late. Once you get to Hinamizawa, there aren't many places to get something to eat. I'm sure they're having a quick dinner before coming here. However, the 4 officers seem anxious. They all have families, but Oishi didn't tell them how late they'd have to be out here. They're hoping Oishi will bring other officers to relieve them so they can go home. They called the station, but all they said was Oishi was on his way, and we should wait because he'll be here soon. And once again, I've said this multiple times, but this would not work as effectively in the modern times because everybody has cell phones. It's easier to get connected with people. So for it to take place in the 80s, I feel like it definitely is. It's just the fact that you don't know where people are at all times. Like you can't like pinpoint their cell phone and triangulate it and find out where they are. You can't easily get a hold of people. It just makes it that much scarier.
遅いね、大石さん。渋滞にでも巻き込まれたんだよ。ちょうど帰宅ラッシュの時間帯にぶつかっただろうからね。おまわりさんもお昼からずっといてくれてるんですのよね。交代が来てあげないとかわいそうですわね。
Are they gonna just be like, you guys can go home?
そうだな。何時に終わるのかもわからない仕事って疲れるもんな。
警察の人には休んでもらって、私たちが夜景にでも立ちます？
That's a terrible idea, Shion.
聡子のトラップワークで不審者の接近を阻むとか。
Although that would be awesome to have Sadako's traps. The mountain dogs are taken down by Sadako. It's like Home Alone, but like so much more nefarious.
甘いですわね、シオンさん。ここは私とリカの家なんでしてよ。
I just love the idea of this like military, like elite military group taken down by like a 10-year-old.
常に二重三重のトラップが張り巡らせてありますわ。そうなんだ。神社で遊ぶときは注意しないとね。
With our stomachs full, the mood in the house had returned to a light-hearted one. True, we shouldn't be so relaxed, but knowing that Oishi would be here shortly made us feel relieved. But he's so late. He said he'd be here in an hour. Mio mentioned he might have gotten stuck in traffic. But I'm sure Oishi was considering that. That's why he told me it would take him about an hour. And it had now been 1 hour since the time Oishi was supposed to get here. I want to believe he's getting something to eat on the way, but I'm starting to get concerned. Oishi still hasn't shown up. It's almost 11 o'clock. The officers are completely exhausted. They had even started to smoke cigarettes outside. My friends are becoming tired too. Sadako was yawning. It's way past our bedtime. Everyone else is getting tired and sleepy. We've been spending our time watching TV and reading manga. I can feel my fear succumbing to sleepiness. Today is almost over, so technically if she makes it until midnight, then she won't get killed tonight. She'll get killed the next day, so... I'm going to survive the day I'm supposed to die. Well, there's still an hour. Does that mean I escape my deadly fate? A lot can happen in an hour. No, I'll have to fight endlessly from tomorrow on. I was going to discuss that with Oishi. Since he's not here, I don't know what to do from this point on. Suddenly, the phone rang, breaking the silence.
大石さんか。
もしもし、フルデなのです。
夜分遅くに申し訳ありません。沖宮署の小宮山と申します。すみません。 うちの大石ですが、そちらにおりますか？
いいえ、僕たちもずっと待っているところなのです。
そうですか。わかりました。申し訳ございませんが、そちらに行っている警官に今から応援が行くので、引き継いだら祈祷するようお伝えいただけますか？
わかりましたです。それで、大石はどこに？
夕方頃直接そっちへ行くと連絡があったきりだったので、てっきりそちらへお邪魔してるものと思っていました。大石と交代で警官たちが戻ってくることになってたのですが、いつまでも戻らないのでどうなっているのかと思いまして。
That's what I'd like to know, but arguing with the man on the phone wouldn't accomplish anything. I hung up and gave the message to the officers downstairs. It looked like everyone already heard our exchange on the phone.
どうしたんでございましょうね。遅いにも程がありましたよ。
何か重要な仕事があったりして道草でも食ってるとか？
それなら電話すると思うな。これから行くって電話したんだよ。これだけ遅くなったら絶対に電話してくれると思うな。
まさか東京って連中に襲われたとかか？
まさかと言いたいところですが、リカちゃまの言うような連中が相手なら絶対そんなわけないとも言い切れないのが怖いところです。多分休養が入ったんだよ。それで電話をするのを忘れてるんだと思う。
Oh, Mion, you sweet summer child.
向こうも大の大人、それも天下の大石だよ。そうそう簡単には消されないって。
It's just so sad, you know. Oishi was so close to finding out the truth and he got killed, like right before his retirement too. It's that whole, you know, the whole trope about like the police officer dying right before they're supposed to retire.
来るなら早く来てほしいですわね。はあ。
Sadako yawned. Everyone laughs, but some of them are trying not to yawn themselves. We can't stay up forever. We decided that we'd call it a night once the replacement officers arrived. I'm sure I've survived past the time I'm supposed to die. That's probably because the police were protecting me. Perhaps both Takano and the mountain dogs are also on my side, and they took care of the murderer. I don't know who is changing my fate. Maybe my fate hasn't changed, and I'm going to get killed soon anyway. I don't know if it's because of the police or because of the mountain dogs, but the only thing I know for sure is that I'm still alive. Soon I heard the noise of someone walking on gravel on the shrine grounds. One of my friends suggested it might be Oishi, but I doubt it. I don't want to expect him and be disappointed when it's not. I'm starting to think like Hanyu.
こんばんは。沖宮署から参りました。小宮山と申します。
See, I'm afraid that these guys, I mean, I would assume the police officers would know each other, but what if these guys are secretly mountain dogs? It wasn't Oishi. Two of his fellow detectives have arrived instead. They were going to stay downstairs and have the 4 officers return home. They also told my friends to leave.
あとは私たち警察がいますので、どうぞ皆さんは家に帰ってください。
That sounds like it'd be mountain dogs, because of course they don't want the friends there to complicate things.
ご家族の方が心配しますよ。
みんなありがとうです。刑事さんたちが来てくれましたし、もう大丈夫なので。
本当に大丈夫？邪魔でなければ私たちも泊まるよ。
大丈夫なのです。第一、お布団も寝巻きもないのです。じゃあ明日。
Let's hope so.
これからはなるべくリカちゃんと一緒にいるようにしよう。部活はリカちゃんの家でやるっていうのでどうかな。あら、それなら素敵でございますわよ。僕たちの家の床が抜けてしまうかもしれませんです。
違いねえな。
じゃあリカちゃま、私たちこれで帰りますけど、用心してください。暗闇で一人になるなんてことは絶対しないように。
気をつけますです。じゃあね。また明日。はいです。また明日。
The amount of times they're saying see you tomorrow makes me think they're not going to see her tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Am I really going to see them tomorrow? Exactly. I have no clue. I've tried so many things over the past 100 years. I've done many things and I have memories of most of them. That's why I feel so scared on the day I die. It's the only day that I have no memory of. I don't even know if I'm approaching or escaping my death right now. All I know is that this fear is going to continue until I find some kind of solution. As I started getting ready to go to bed, Sadako suggested I should sleep in my regular clothes rather than my pajamas. She was thinking I should remain dressed, just in case someone tries to attack me in my sleep. It sounded ridiculous, but she was just trying to be considerate. I decided to do what she told me to. Sadako seemed so sleepy until a few minutes ago, but she suddenly started passionately explaining to me all the traps she set on the shrine grounds. She assured me the strangers would end up trapped if they tried to sneak inside the building. To someone else, it might sound like she was just trying to brag, but Sadako was trying to make me feel better. After everyone else left, she noticed how scared I looked. Sadako's kindness and everyone else's kindness. I feel it was the right decision for me to talk to my friends, even if that won't end up changing my fate.
Rika.
But now the worry is that now her friends, like she said, her friends are in danger because they know what's going on, so they're all going to be killed too, hence the massacre. Hanyu showed up again. She looked upset, so she was probably still thinking I could get killed at any minute. But I'm actually starting to feel a little better. I might get killed tomorrow, but I feel like I can rest safely at least tonight. I'm more concerned about the fact that Oishi didn't show up. Still, even if he didn't, the other detectives are here and will stay on guard downstairs without sleeping. As long as they're here, I think I'll be safe tonight.
どうしたの？お腹でも空いたの？出前じゃ甘いのはないからね。冷蔵庫のジュースでも飲む？
Hanyu would usually cheer right up when I suggested drinking some juice, but not this time. Her face looked pale, as if she wasn't even alive. Something out of the ordinary has clearly happened. Oh, does she know about Oishi?
どうしたの？もうすぐ時間が
Oh, shit.
やってきますのです。
Uh-oh. That sounded far more like a declaration than a prediction. Even Hanyu doesn't have any memories of my death. There's no way she can tell when I will be killed. However, she sounded so certain just now. Perhaps we can feel it in the very cells of our body. Our bodies understand fate far better than we do. Up until now, I felt reassured that we could get through it somehow if we're all together. But as I clung to that life preserver with a hole leaking air, I was starting to drown in a sea of despair and struggling to keep my head above water. No, I can't let myself feel that way. I have to believe.
大丈夫よ。羽生、私は抗う。たとえ明日殺されるとしても、今夜殺されるという運命にだけは抗う。
Hanyu just gave me a look of faint sadness. That silence told me my pitiful hope was going to push me down into a futile reality. I stared at Sadako as she continued to brag about her traps. If I'm getting killed shortly, Sadako won't be safe either. Oh no, is she gonna send Sadako away? That's not gonna work. Sadako won't leave. I quickly interrupted her talk about traps. The time was 1 in the morning. As it's hardly a big city, 1 a.m. in Hinamizawa is the middle of the night. The darkness here gets very deep. There was light leaking out from the first floor where 2 detectives sat on guard, but everything else was pitch black. Even the moonlight seemed indistinct.
予定時刻です。
Oh shit, oh no!
1階には刑事2名。
There's still so much time left in this chapter. People have been telling me there's at least 2 hours left. I'm like, what's gonna happen?
2階は消灯してすでに1時間以上が経過します。本部より3査。
こんなに月の綺麗な夜だもの。
No.
始めなさい。
刑事は排除でよろしいですか？
そうね。今夜古出神社にいた人間はすべてが忽然と姿を消し鬼隠しとなる。それでいいわ。
本部より大鳥作戦開始。保証の刑事2名は実力で排除せよ。なお発砲は許可しない。繰り返す。発砲は許可しない。本部よりウグイス大鳥が作戦を開始する。電話線を遮断せよ。
Oh no.
ウグイス了解。遮断する。
They had been working to disable the phone lines, just in case their target tried to contact the police during the attack. That mission was what Oishi happened to bump into.
ほんじゃ、大鳥湾より全隊員へ突入準備。1階の刑事2名と2階の同伴者1名を排除せよ。痕跡を残せん。
Oh, it's just so... It's so cold, like the companion. Like, that's Sadako.
発砲禁止。ガスも使えんね。テーサーを使え。単銃で武装してるぞ。撃たせるな。
おこのぎ、 素人相手に手こずらないでよ。
まあ仕事ですんで、大鳥セブン8前進。バックアップは周辺警戒を厳重にされたし。
大鳥セブン前進する。
The two men in uniform slowly approached the building. The mountain dogs' uniforms are gray, so it didn't blend in with their surroundings at all. However, it doesn't look as suspicious as real camouflage suits. Of course, they look suspicious enough creeping up to the house like that anyway. They could both see light leaking from the door and hear the voices of the detectives. Rika would typically use a sliding door to get inside. Man, those detectives were very lucky, the ones who got, relieved of their duty. Like, they missed death by a couple of hours. The door was locked, but the mountain dogs had obtained a spare key a long time ago. They put the key in the keyhole, but it wouldn't go in smoothly. They were certain it would make some kind of noise when they turned it. The detectives would notice them the minute they did that. They'd have to rush inside and defeat them in one swift burst. Phoenix's 7 and 8 glanced at each other.
大鳥セブンより本部準備位置に到着。
Oh, my stomach is like so tight right now.
突入指示を請う。
高野です。綺麗に決めるのよ。行きなさい。
了解。突入する。
Clack, clack. He turned the key in a hurry and opened the lock. By the time the detectives turned around, the door was already open, and the two mountain dogs had stepped inside. They had aimed their weapons at the detectives while the latter were still turning around. In a fight like that, the first 2 seconds are the most crucial moments. The detectives collapsed, making minimal noise. There were needles stuck in their bodies, and those needles were connected via wires to the attackers' guns. In other words, the weapons those two had weren't ordinary guns. They were stun guns in the shape of firearms. Instead of bullets, they shoot out electric needles that electrocute their victims into unconsciousness. Normally, they would be non-lethal weapons that allow the shooter to capture their victim without harming them, but their tasers had been modified. The two dogs started walking up the stairs as soon as they confirmed the detectives were no longer breathing. But in the next moment, they heard a loud noise above them. Sadako's traps, go!
こちら大鳥店 R 以下2名が感づいた。2階の窓から飛び降りたぞ。裏の茂みへ逃走している。大鳥4、5、そっちへ行くぞ。大鳥4、沈黙。
Come on, Sadako's traps! Phoenix 4 spotted the two girls and started after them, but he suddenly stepped on something hard. Yes! Sadako! I mean, I don't know. I doubt that she's going to be able to get all of them with her traps, but come on, Sadako! Ah, pow pow pow. With a cheap-sounding explosion, the area was filled with smoke. It's nice to see, like, Sadako's traps really are coming into play here. Could potentially save their lives. I want to hope so bad. That was the trap Sadako had set using firecrackers. Like, she's probably going to maneuver them around the forest to exactly where her traps are. That had proven to be a very fortunate idea. The mountain dogs dropped to the ground, assuming they were under fire. That gave Rika and Sadako a chance to escape.
なんなんですのあいつらは。リカの言う東京なんですの。
多分ね。いいから走って。捕まったら殺されるわよ。
どうした応答しろ。今の音は何だ。
こちら大鳥5、銃撃を受けた模様。 R は突破した。追撃する。
くそ、感触玉か何かだ。畜生め。
さとこちゃんね、やるわね。
ああ、情けな。近場の班は急行しろ。人家に逃げ込まれたらアウトだぞ。
Oh, let's hope she can make it to Mion's.
大鳥18、発見した。
Come on, girls. Come on.
応援。
二人は土地勘が強いわよ。早く抑えないと確実に見失うわ。
This wasn't a game of hide and seek, it was a game of tag. Several men in uniforms were chasing after Rika and Sadako. They weren't idiots, so they didn't waste energy on a futile act of shouting, "Wait!" This was a quiet, deadly game of tag in the middle of the night. Jesus, this is so terrifying.
どこへ行きますの。バラバラになって
No!
追っ手を振り切りましょうです。
No, Rika!
落ち合うのはミーの家。地下の隠し部屋なら安全だし、外部と連絡も取れますです。
Yeah, Rika was thinking the same way, so she knows about the murder basement. Sadako had no idea that Mion had a basement in her house, but she didn't have time to ask anything about it under her current circumstances. All she did was nod. Bang. The next moment I felt my left foot catch on something and I fell to the ground. No! I must have tripped on a rock or a piece of concrete. No!
リカ、サトコは逃げて。あんたも殺されちゃう。
But Sadako wouldn't move on without me. She came back to lend me a hand. I stood up without her help, but this cost us too much time. No, no, no! One of the men had almost caught up with us. I didn't know what to do, but Sadako, upon seeing him, quickly reacted. That's right, Sadako, you fight like you learned to. Sadako ran towards him and kicked him with all her might, right in the balls. Her foot had landed right in his face. I wish I had a camera, or the face, but there were two more of them right behind the first man. Oh, come on, no! I can see them clearly now. They're the gardeners from the landscape company. Rena was right! Hashtag Rena was right. They're wearing the same uniforms Oganaki is always wearing. I know I'm saying his name wrong, I'm so sorry. You guys told me how to pronounce it, and I tried to remember, but I'm so in the heat of the moment right now, I apologize if I'm gonna keep pronouncing his name wrong. I don't have time right now to look it up, I'm into this. They must be the mountain dogs. Now I'm certain that Takano is the culprit, and now that I know that, I can do something about it in the next world, if she can remember. But if I die now, will I lose my memory again? I can't die now. I need to survive so I can keep my memories. Sadako took something out of her pocket and threw it at them. Pocket sand! It was something like oh my gosh, I'm like calling it here. It was something like sand and it blinded them. However, even that can only buy us a few seconds. Sadako tried to run, but she froze as soon as they aimed their weapons at us. Their stun guns are only shaped like firearms. Sadako, not knowing that, thought they were real guns. No, no, no. Knowing that she'll be shot if she turned around and ran, Sadako tried to attack them and said, "No! Sadako!" Of course, there are 3 of them. Most would think it's impossible to drive them off, but Sadako didn't think about that. See, Sadako went a little bit too much in the opposite direction from being, like, very weak-willed to now she just feels like she's invincible. She had a 100% chance of dying if she tried to run. Then she might as well fight back because she might have a 1% chance of defeating them. Alright, alright. Fair enough. Sadako was determined to save me, even at her own expense. But I can't stay in this world if it means losing Sadako. I'm dying anyway. I'd rather die for Sadako's sake than lose her. But another me was shouting in my mind, if I don't survive this, I'll lose this memory. If I die without keeping this memory, this life and everything I've learned will all be wasted. Should I escape and leave Sadako... Am I gonna have to make a choice right now? Should I escape and leave Sadako behind? I don't think the game is gonna let me make that kind of choice. That's right, I should use this experience to my advantage in my next life. I should just let go of her in this world. Oh no! But I know in my heart, there's no way I can win against these guys. I'm sure their backup will get here if we take our time to fight them. Should I fight them for her, or should I leave so I can confront my true enemy? Oh shit! The game actually is making me... No! Oh my god. Whoa, wait, what? The game... Sadako! Okay, the game just decided? Okay, wait, what? Did I even have a choice? Did I take too long to decide and the game decided for me? Or would I never have had a choice? Sadako's bravery gives me courage. If I left her, I'd lose my motivation to defeat fate. I don't care if I lose my memories. It only took me 100 years for me to get this information. I don't care if I have to spend another 100 years in the same June. I can't leave Sadako. Sadako! No, the sad music. She's not gonna survive. I had noticed something. They're only aiming at Sadako. There must be a reason why they can't shoot me. So I stood in front of Sadako to protect her. Just as I expected, they put their guns down and prepared to take us out without weapons. They must think this is my final speech. They let me talk until I was finished. The next moment, one of them dropped to the ground. Whoa, what? What is going on here? There's some hopeful... Oh, Keiichi! Yes! The club members! The club members are going to take these guys down. Keiichi had run toward him and kicked him from behind. Keiichi had kicked him right in the small of his back, and the dog was squirming on the ground. Hell yes! All this music, man, is getting me pumped up. The other two tried to retaliate, but they were too late. They never left. They never left. Mion grabbed one of the guy's arms from behind and flipped him down to the ground. It must be some kind of martial art. I've seen something like that in an action movie before. Yes, Mion! Mion usually is so, like, you know, kind of all bluster, all talk, but no action. But yes, she is acting now, girl. Yes. Yes, Rena! Rena! Don't fuck with Rena. Rena tried to push the remaining dog down with all her strength, but it wasn't enough to take him out. Come on, Rena, I know you can do it. He tried to aim his gun at Rena, but she had already done what she was supposed to. All she needed to do was get his attention. Shion had snuck up behind him and fired her stun gun into his neck. Yes, Shion, with your stun gun. Use it for good and not evil this time. The stun gun made a snapping noise and the dog fell to the ground with the rest of his friends. Hell yes! I am like... If I wasn't in an apartment right now, I would be whooping and cheering, but I gotta try and keep it down a little bit because my neighbors are... Oh my god, this is so intense!
カサイのやつ改造済みとは言ってたけどこりゃ効きますシオンこっちの連中にもお願い
大丈夫かサトコにリカちゃんまさに危機一髪だったなお前らの足が速いんで追いつくのに苦労したぜ
So the whole time when they said they were just going home, it's because they believed maybe the mountain dogs were hearing them and they just wanted to make it seem like, okay, we're going home now, but they weren't gonna leave her.
ずっと待っててよかったね張り込んでた甲斐があったよ
Oh, so they didn't know.
張り込んでたって
They didn't know.
お家帰らずずっと見張って
Oh
い
my
ましたよ
gosh, I thought they coordinated that, like Sadako was bringing Rika out that way because she knew that's where they were going to be. That was just wow. Wow.
帰り際にねすっごく不審な人がずっと草陰に潜んでて神社を伺ってるのを見つけたの
That's right, Rena, with your just observation skills.
いやーよく見つけたよなあの暗闇で
Of course, it's Rena. Of course she would.
レナには嘘も明細も通用しないってことだな
So figuring he would leave if they spoke to him, they secretly staked out the suspicious man. They'd started following us as soon as they heard the sound of the firecrackers.
まさかここでみんなに救われるとは
Me
思わな
neither.
かったのです
Me neither. That was awesome.
とにかくここにいたらすぐに応援が来るぞどうするこれから
私たちミオンさんの家に逃げ込むつもりでしたのよ地下でかくまってもらえるとかいう話で
Mion's like, okay, guys, before you go to the basement, please don't judge.
地下最後殿ですか確かにあそこなら都合がいいですしかもあそこ武器も隠してませんでしたっけそういうのは言わないとにかく私もうちに逃げ込むのは賛成あそこには秘密の通路がいくつもあるから連中の裏をかけるよ
なら急ごう
Come on, game, don't take this hope away from me. This is what I wanted. I want the club members to come together and take down the final boss.
追っ手が来てる
A white van was approaching us at high speed. Yeah, guys, you just stood and were just talking there for like 5 minutes. Like, just go. It obviously belonged to the mountain dogs. The van stopped not far from us, and more people in uniform jumped out. There were at least 6 of them. If we all run, the slowest runner might get caught. So we should take them down while we can. I don't know if they have a license, but Mion and Shion know how to drive a car. We can take their van and get away from here.
6人だちょうどいいね全員の全力でぶちのめして車をいただこう
Club members, assemble!
それは明暗ですわね
そうと決まりゃ速攻だぜ
The mountain dogs were ready to chase us. They had no idea we would try and attack them instead. Rena is always the first to make a move in this kind of situation. She gets so determined once a decision is made. Oh my god, love it. There's no hesitation. She immediately singled out one dog and punched him in the nose. You guys are getting taken down by high schoolers. Like, that's embarrassing. Another one tried to grab her from behind, but Keiichi kicked him in the side as hard as he could. And these guys are doing it with no weapons except for one stun gun.
やり合うときは背中を気にしろよ。
ケイイチ君に任せるよ。よろしくね。
レナさんのひなみざわ復帰前ってめちゃくちゃ興味あります。というか人殴るのに躊躇なさすぎ。スタンガン使うのに躊躇ないあんたが言わない。
Given that Shion had the stun gun, the mountain dogs were reluctant to go after her. They were scared of the very dangerous weapon she had in her hands. But thanks to that, Shion had stopped one of them for certain. It was fortunate for us they didn't have any guns of their own. Guys, take the guns of the ones who were knocked down and take them out. They had no way of countering Shion's stun gun. Sadako attacked him from behind. She encircled his neck with a jump rope and pulled. Shion followed up, quickly hitting him with her stun gun. What was I doing during all that? The only thing I can do is run around and try and get their attention. They're pursuing me, after all. They want to catch me more than anything else. But that leaves them open to attacks from my friends. Keiichi had already hit the one trying to grab me. I think we have a chance here. We may not be able to take all of them down, but we can try and find a chance to escape to their vehicle.
リカちゃんから話を聞いていたとき、とんでもねえ奴らだとビビって
Oh,
いたが、
Keiichi, be careful. Don't say that
ど
out
うやら
loud.
俺たちと同等程度みたいじゃないか。
Don't jinx it, dude.
みーちゃんの部活メンバーはつまりそのくらい強いってことなんだね。
恐れないというのが多分強さの秘密ですね。お姉の部活は遠慮ってやつをなくす訓練みたいなもんですから。
If we all fight together, we can win the 6-on-6 battle. If any of us weren't here, they'd beat us easily. We'd end up dead. If my friends hadn't stayed behind, I would have been killed by now. We can do it. We can make it. The dogs Shion took down with her stun gun were starting to wake up. The ones that were knocked out earlier were also up and chasing us again. We have to get out of here. This isn't the time for me to just be running around.
ちょうどいいわね。やってやるわ。
リカ。
羽生、あなたは相変わらず諦めてるんでしょ。諦めない悪あがきがどれだけの力を持つか、そこで見てなさい。私は打ち破る。私たちは打ち破る。今からね。それをあなたの目の前で見せてあげる。よし、みんないいね。一撃で決めるよ。目の前の敵を一人撃ち倒せ。それから車を奪って逃げる。
はいです。僕もやりますですよ。
気に入ったぜ、リカちゃん。よっしゃ、行くぞー。
On Keiichi's signal, we attacked 6 of the mountain dogs in unison. Time gradually slowed down. I truly felt like I was trying to overcome that impossible wall of time and change my fate. However, time continued to slow even further until it stopped. What's going on? It felt like the film reel of a movie had gotten hung up partway through. Like time itself had come to a standstill. What's going on? What's going on?
どういうこと？
その時が来たのです。
What? No, no, no,
どうして？
no, no. What? Wearing a sad expression, Hanyu pointed at Keiichi. I finally noticed something. Oh no, all my friends had noticed already. Except for Keiichi. Oh no, 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 no. What?
ケイイチ。
No, you gave me this whole game.
その胸の前に浮いているのは
The snipers.
何ですか？
The snipers. Shit.
何って、な
Oh
んだよ。
no.
は？
Oh no, the
これ、
snipers.
なんだよ。
I forgot about them. Time had stopped just when Keiichi was about to hit his opponent. He then realized that something was floating in front of his heart. It was a metallic silver cone. That was the first thing I could think of.
嘘。
No,
Kei-chan.
no, no, no. They're all taken out.
なんだ
No.
よ、これ。まさか。集団？
That's exactly what it was. Damn it, game! The bullet had stopped about 15 centimeters away from Keiichi's chest just before it would enter his body. That's right. Once time starts moving in it again, it will slam into his chest. In other words, it's too late. Keiichi will immediately die when time starts up again.
誰が撃ったの？だって相手は6人。誰も銃なんか持ってないよ。あそこワゴン車のところですわ。
Sadako couldn't point at the van. Time had completely stopped after all. We could see another person standing near the van. There had actually been 7 people inside. Not 6. The 7th person was the one who fired the bullet. We hadn't seen her at all. Oh, her! Takano! Oh shit! That person is someone we all know very well. Yes, it's Takano. Oh no.
高野さんだ。高野さんが撃ったの？圭一君は？
In the frozen world, Takano was smiling, still aiming her gun at Keiichi. Takano had been watching us from the van this whole time. She came out and fired her gun knowing we hadn't seen her at all.
そっか。なるほどな。やっぱり黒幕は高野さんだったんだな。
どうしよう。ケイちゃん、なんとか体をひねってかわせないんですか？
This is so weird, so they're all like frozen in time and they're aware of it, but...
バカ。弾丸だって止まるくらいに
And they seem totally
全てが
okay
止ま
with
ってる
it.
俺だって動けるわけがねえだろ。
なら時間が動き出すのと一緒に上半身をそらすんですの。そうすれば少しでも違うかもしれませんわよ。
Everyone was desperate to save Keiichi. However, no matter how hard we thought, we couldn't come up with any ideas to save him from the bullets. We were so desperate that Keiichi started to laugh.
なんかよくわからないけどさ。とにかくこうなっちまったものは仕方がない。時間が動き出せば俺は死ぬだろう。死ななくてもまあ少なくとも戦力にはならなくなるな。だからみんな今のうちに、そして目の前の敵と高野さんをぶちのめして車を奪うことを考えるんだ。
嫌です。圭一が死んでもダメです。そんな世界は嫌なのです。羽生、これが運命だというの？避けられない運命だというの？大丈夫ですよ、リカ。忘れられます。忘れられますから。嘘だよ、嘘だ！ケイちゃんがこのまま死んじゃうなんて。やめなよ、みーちゃん。とにかく目の前の相手を倒すことに集中しよう。倒れる圭一君に振り返る時間を。
Oh.
きっと圭一君は望まない。
It doesn't matter. Like, once, it's basically like once the leader falls, it's just like the rest of them aren't gonna have the mental, like, capacity and fortitude to be able to do this.
ああ、そうだぜ、レナ。頼むぞ、みんな。リカちゃんを。
I
ま
hope
ず
they
はこの場を
can.
逃げ延びて、監督に連絡を取れ。
But the whole point of this was that Rika wanted to escape with everybody.
多分、こいつらは大石さんをもう殺してる。だからあれだけ待っても来なかったんだ。みんな、生き延びろよ。絶対だ。
Is the whole episode, the rest of the episode, just gonna be like sadness and just each of the people just getting taken down little by, like, one by one until Rika dies and then I'm sad?
リカちゃん、最後の最後に運命なんて覆せるって大見え切っておきながら最初にリタイアしちまう。
And it's coming back. It sounded just like Takano's regular laughter, but it was the scariest noise I'd ever heard.
根性の名残は尽きた？
高野さん、これで俺たちが負けたと思うなよ。
見終わったのね、走馬灯。
Wait, she have the ability to stop time? What the hell is going on? The silence suddenly ended and the clamor of reality returned, and here's the sad music. God damn it. An explosive sound that hit Keiichi straight in the chest. I watched Keiichi collapse right in front of me. And they really had me thinking that maybe this was gonna be it. He fell down on his back while his blood splattered everywhere. And after that, he stopped moving. There's no way any of us weren't shocked by that. We tried to take down the foes in front of us, but more came from behind. We tried to struggle as best as we could, but there was no way we could win against all those adults. I did my best to fight them off, but they pulled my hair and picked me up as if I weighed nothing. God, and that's it? So what, we got another, what, like, hour of this? Like, what? If everybody's dead, whose perspective are we going to be from? Are we going to watch Rika slowly get tortured for the last bit of this? I heard everyone's desperate screams of resistance. The comforting and courageous unity we showed right before Keiichi was shot shattered like glass. The debris of that glass lay sadly on the ground. Takano's annoying laughter was still echoing inside my ears.
高野より本部へ制圧したわ。私の言ったものを準備させて。それから死体がたくさん出るから処分の手配を。死体袋が5つと血を流すのに水がいるわね。持ってこさせて。
She needs 5 bags. My body froze up, but time did not. Takano, laughing, pointed her gun at Mion's head. Jesus, this is so fucking dark.
嘘でしょ。
あなたの背中の入れ墨、後で見せてもらうわね。
見たければ勝手に見ればいいでしょ。見たってつまらないよ。
そう？私は楽しいと思うわよ。
やめて！みーちゃんを撃たないで！
Takano shook her head in response to Rena's scream.
ダメよ。ミオンちゃんが部長さんなんだから一番じゃなきゃね。
嘘。やめ。
Jeez. There was a dull noise followed by Mion's body twitching. We all tried to break free from the men restraining us as Takano calmly shot Mion. This is so messed up. However, they were too strong and all we could do was squirm like insects. Rika's just gotta watch each of them getting taken out one by one. Takano was enjoying watching us struggle. She then stepped towards Sadako, but Shion started screaming curses at her.
あら、あなたが先に撃たれたいのかしら？おとなしくしてれば、もう数秒は余計に生きられたのに。
やめてシオンさん。挑発なんかしても意味がありませんでしたよ。
I know why she's doing that. Shion wants to protect Sadako for as long as she can. She's trying to do what Satoshi told her to. Takano didn't care one whit for Shion's feelings. Stepping over Keiichi's body, she approached Shion.
私、サトシ君を。
Oh, are we gonna get an answer?
そうなんでしょ。
あいにくね。メイドの
God
見
damn
合いっ
it!
て嫌いな
I
の。
need to know this.
だから教えてあげないわ。
Shion's body twitched. That had followed the dull sound of another gunshot. Just 2 dull sounds had stolen away the lively Sonozaki sisters. It didn't add up. I started shaking from fear when it hit me just how easily Takano can take away lives.
無抵抗の人を撃って楽しいの？この人でなし！
あら、次はあなたが撃たれたいの？黙ってれば最後の順番になったのに。
Keiichi, Mion, and Shion died. The oldest one of us left was Rena. Rena didn't want to see Sadako and me die before she did.
連続開始事件は全部高野さんの仕業だったんですね。お社様のたたりの代行者のつもりだったんですか？
代行者じゃないわ。私がたたりを下すのよ。あなたには見せられないわね。お社様の怒りがこれからこの村に下るのは。それは私が起こす。私のたたり。そう。私はまさにお社様そのものになるのよ。
Takano definitely, like, she had her own reason for doing this.
その時、私は人としての域をようやく超えることができるの。
She wants to become like a god. She wants to achieve godhood. She's definitely got a megalomania, some sort of like megalomania. Jesus, I said it right the first time. She's got some sort of weird disorder there.
まあ、あなたには私の気持ちはわからないでしょうね。人を超えて神になろうとする心地よさなど誰にも理解できないわよ。
無理だと思うな。高野さんがどれだけお社様のふりをしたってお社様にはなれないよ。
So, I'm gonna hope that the last chapter is going to be us finally getting our happy ending, because it's not happening in this one.
所詮はごっこ遊び。お社様になんかあなたはなれない。
なれるわよ。これからなるもの。
Ha ha ha. Rena laughed at her. Takano seemed very upset to hear that laugh. That's right, Rena, you get one more. You spit in her face one more time before she dies.
何がおかしいのかしら。
無理だよ。だってお社様はいるんだもの。
Those were Rena's last words.
さて、最後は聡子ちゃんね。あなたは殺しても殺さなくてもどうでもいいの。でもあなたは生きた研究資料だからね。東京はあなたの生きたままの捕獲に懸賞金をつけてくれてるわ。大した額じゃない。私の取り分はせいぜいヨーロッパに旅行に行ったら消える程度よ。
Oh, so I'm wondering, if... Okay, it seems like Sadako is going to die in this one, but in Sadako's chapter, where it said, I think, like, Sadako and Hojo, or the, Tepe, they weren't found. I wonder if that's wise, because they took Sadako away. I'm assuming that the people in the hazmat suits who showed up afterwards, they were working for Tokyo, so maybe they took Sadako away to continue to use her as a research sample, and that's why her body wasn't found in Hinamizawa.
生け捕りにしてもあなたは結局はろくな目に遭わないけどね。生きたまま頭蓋を切開されるのが関の山よ。
Okay, maybe in that case it's better that she die.
それに私、あなたとはお友達だったしね。この場で撃ち殺してあげるのも優しさかと思ってる。どっちがいい？
そんなの決められるわけないでございますわよ。
Sadako shouted back at her. Her eyes were full of tears.
じゃあクイズ。ブロッコリーとカリフラワー、緑色はどっち？
ブロッコリー。
Aw. Pow. As soon as I heard that same dull sound, Sadako stopped moving. Takano smiled and said, "Good girl," to what used to be Sadako.
"本当に今夜は月の綺麗な素敵な夜だこと。ね、あなたもそう思わない？
そして私を殺すのね。
ええ、殺すわ。女王感染者の死体が作戦の鍵なの。あなたはここから遠く離れた東京の地での醜い政治的勢力争いの具になるのよ。そして鬼ヶ淵村の伝説のピリオドとなる。
私をどういう殺し方にするか高野の考え。
あら、わかるの？言ってみて。
I'm not going to say it, but I know. It's Watanagashi. She wants to do the real Watanagashi using my body. I'm sure she's planning to cut open my stomach and pull out my guts. To do that, she'll make me inhale some chemical to put me to sleep. I vaguely remember that part.
想像がついてるようね。じゃあ、おやすみなさい、リカちゃん。
One of the dogs approached me with a handkerchief soaked in a chemical substance.
高野、待ちなさい。
みんな潔く死んだのに、あなたは命乞いなの？
違うわ。私を殺すなら眠らさずに殺しなさい。
Rika, that's metal. Takano hadn't expected to hear that. Still, even though she was surprised, she nodded with a slight smile. Hanyu was also surprised to hear that. Is it because she wants to stay awake during it all, to try and see if she can remember this? Yeah, oh, that is why. It's because she figures that it's because she's put out with the chemical that she doesn't remember things, so maybe she's like, Jesus, is this gonna be the rest of the chapter? Is I have to, like, watch her get just tortured to death, having her organs ripped out while she's still alive? It's because Rika wants to try and remember as much as she can for the next life.
どういうつもり？楽に死ぬ気がないの？ 辛いわよ。生きたまま腹を裂かれるのは
忘れないためよ。
Yep. Yes. I'm doing this so I'll remember. I'm not going to forget about it.
あなたが私の腹を裂くのを私は魂に刻みつける。それを私は絶対に忘れない。あなたに再び会った時、
Oh my god, that is the
あなたが
last...
敵であることを思い出すために。
The last chapter is going to be her remembering everything and doing this right.
何を企んでるやら。でもあなたは他の子たちよりは少しは賢明みたいね。1秒でも長生きすれば悲鳴を上げるくらいのチャンスはあるかもしれないからね。でもそうはさせないわ。
What? No. Shit. They forced something other than the handkerchief inside of my mouth. Oh, it was a gag. Oh shit. Okay, so she's still gonna be alive. With that in, I couldn't close my mouth, leading my saliva to start overflowing. Soon another van arrived. More mountain dogs came out of it. Don't let the last bit of this just be like torture porn. Like, at least... I don't want them to be too graphic about it. They had probably come to get rid of the bodies. They grabbed the corpses of my friends and stuffed them into body bags. After that, they sprayed a bunch of water on the ground to clean up the blood. They asked Takano how many shots she fired, and started looking around for the bullets. They were erasing all the evidence. By the time the night was over, there'd be no more proof left. They pulled my hands behind my back and bound them with handcuffs. My ankles were tied up too. They also tied my ankles and wrists together. My body was bent like a shrimp and I was no longer able to walk. My mouth was covered so I couldn't even talk. I couldn't move, talk, or express myself in any other way. They had taken away everything that made me human. Therefore, I wasn't human anymore. I was just a toy named Rika Furde, a toy to give Takano joy. The car started moving. It seemed like we were going back the way we came, but I didn't care anymore. As the time of my death approached, some of my forgotten memories came back to me. That's right. I was killed like this so many times. Every time I repeated my life, Takano got pleasure out of killing me. Somebody rubbed my head. Were they trying to comfort me? I shook my head to try and refuse. They laughed at me as I did so. Oh. Rika! Hanyu showed up. She couldn't hold back her devastated tears.
ダメでした。ダメでした。また。
When I saw Hanyu's painful tears, I was convinced. I was wrong. Hanyu's not just a bystander. She's just too scared to face reality because she can't stand the pain anymore. Hanyu wants a happy future too, but her hopes were betrayed countless times and she was hurt far too much. For some reason, seeing her sorrowful expression calmed me down. Perhaps Hanyu was crying in my place.
いいのよ、羽生。私たちあれだけ努力した。精一杯頑張った。もう一息で運命を覆せそうな予感すらした。それでも届かなかったなら、それにね、なんだか気持ちいいの。
I've never fought this hard in my life. I've never learned so many things. Because I can repeat my life endlessly, I've been taking each one for granted. But everyone else is taking their lives seriously. I wasn't learning anything because I wasn't doing that. But I finally understand. I learned something from this life and I put all my effort into it. So, I'm sad I didn't make it, but I feel satisfied just the same. It's a strange kind of satisfaction. I wonder how many of these memories I can keep. I get the sense I'm going to lose my memory of this evening. If that's the case, I'll lose my memory of seeing Takano's face. I finally found out that Takano is the mastermind. Am I going to repeat the same world again, not knowing the truth? She killed my friends as if she were merely killing some bugs. I don't want to forget that. No matter how hard my death will be, I need to remember Takano's face.
羽生、私はくじけない。この記憶がたとえ引き継げなくてもいい。
Maybe it's been explained to me, but why doesn't Hanyu... She remembers living these past lives, and she remembers them failing. So why can't she remember this moment? Why can't she remember that it was Takano? I still don't quite understand why. I feel like things would be wrapped up so quickly if Hanyu could just be like, yo, it's Takano. Yeah, it's the mountain dogs. Don't trust any of them. Ugh.
がむしゃらに生きていく。
Then again, it wouldn't be nearly as interesting if it could be solved that easily.
6月の狭い日々にしか生きられなくなり、最後には綿流しの日にしか生きていられない存在になってもいい。それが私の生なら、精一杯生きて。僕も忘れません。きっと覚えてて、
Hanyu?
もしリカが忘れていたら、きっと僕が教えますから。
So Hanyu did remember and she just didn't say anything? Or is she like, just, what?
羽生、あなたはやっぱり冷たい傍観者のふりをしていたの。
Oh, Hanyu, you did know.
悲しさに怯えていたからなんだよね。僕もみんなと楽しく過ごす未来に行きたかったです。
Hanyu started to cry like a baby. She's so stupid. She decided to abandon hope just because she didn't want to deal with the sadness that she always felt on this night. But she ended up hurt and devastated anyway. Hanyu, are you happy that this world is ending just like you predicted? I decided not to ask her such an unpleasant question. The car stopped and 2 men pulled me out of the vehicle. We had returned to the Furde shrine. Yep, this is where they placed her on the shrine and cut her open. There were several men waiting in front of the offertory box. Nearby, there were countless sharp knives laid out on the ground. They're going to cut open my stomach with those tools and pull out my intestines. They took off all my clothes. They left the gag inside my mouth and the handcuffs around my wrist. Please just make this quick. I wasn't embarrassed to be naked in front of them. Rather, I was just furious that Takano was getting joy out of doing this to me. Don't forget this humiliation. The pain I'm about to experience should be carved into my soul forever. How horrible would this be if she suffered for nothing? I really want her to remember. I'm not going to forget this. Like, I've given up hope at this point that this is going to have a happy ending. Obviously not, but hopefully this will be the catalyst for the next chapter that we're going to have something good happen. Everyone worked together and we finally revealed who was behind it all. If I forget this, my friend's efforts and deaths will have been in vain. I need to stay alive as long as I can so I will remember the pain.
羽生、目を背けないで。あなたも見ていなさい。そして心に刻んで。
Oh. Okay, so when Hanyu said she'll try and remember, it wasn't that she was intentionally, she wasn't intentionally keeping that a secret from Rika, it's just that she literally couldn't be there to watch it, I guess, so she couldn't remember either?
僕にはそのくらいの協力しかできないのでしょうか。触ることも喋ることもできない僕にはそんなことしかできないのでしょうか。それで十分よ。あなたが目を背けないでいてくれたなら、私も多分痛みに耐えられると思うから。
Hanyu nodded and sat right next to me while continuing to cry. We then looked up at the night sky together. The moon was shining brightly as if it's taking pity upon me. We also looked at the faces of my murderers. That beautiful moon was gradually stained red. It's getting cold. It's so painful. At least they're, I was afraid they were going to go into really in-depth detail about it, but at least they're being, they're kind of glazing over it a bit. I'm consumed with the fear of not being able to do anything about this. But Hanyu is right next to me. That gives me comfort. It's not just Hanyu either. So I wonder if the rest of the chapter, is it going to be in Takano's point of view? Because, everybody's going to be dead. Everyone is here with me. Everyone is there watching me so I can stand this torture. That's why it wasn't painful. I didn't struggle. I didn't care about Takano's crazy laughter. This was such a wonderful world. We didn't overcome this fate, but I have no regrets. Of course, I'm still sad. I'm disappointed. My future was right in front of my eyes. My hand could almost reach it. Even so, we did what we could. I have to be proud of myself. Keiichi voiced his disagreement. He still felt we could have done more. We were almost there. We almost defeated this fate. We didn't win, but not because our enemies were strong. We didn't win because we didn't try hard enough.
でも、みんなは心を一つにして頑張っていましたのです。僕は見ていました。全部見ていましたのです。
いや、足りてなかったんだ。運命を打ち破ろうとする意志が全員で結束できていたなら、必ず奇跡は起こせたんだ。
そうなんだよ。全員が信じたなら、必ず奇跡が起こせるんだよ。
さとこもリカちゃまも、みんなよく頑張りました。
ごめんなさいですわ、リカ。あなたが打ち明ける勇気を見せてくれたのに、私はあなたを救えなかったですわ。
Sadako held my shoulder and cried.
そうよ。みんなで力を合わせたわ。それでダメなら。ありがとう。本当にありがとう。多分、あまたの世界と同じ死を迎えるのに。この死を代償に、私は本当に大切なことを学んだ。リカちゃん、違うの。奇跡が起こらなかった理由。レナは知ってるよ。
Maybe it was because Rika didn't believe until the last minute. I don't know. Rena spoke gently, but she wasn't smiling at all.
ねえ、本当にみんな奇跡を起こそうと信じてた？未来を望むとき、全員が信じてなかったら、奇跡は起こらないんだよ。
Is it Hanyu? Is it because Hanyu didn't believe?
何言ってんだよ、レナ。俺たちは結束した。運命を打ち破れることを疑わなかったぞ。
Now, Rika still had her doubts, even up till the end, I felt like. A little bit.
なあ、ミオン。
うん。そうだよ、レナ。誰も運命に勝てないなんて思わなかったよ。リカちゃんのこの運命を覆したいと思う誰もが、絶対に運命を打ち破れると信じてたよ。
そうですわ。リカですらそれを信じましたのよ。最後の最後に、リカは私たちを信じて、運命を打ち破れると信じましたのよ。もちろん、レナも信じたよ。でも、信じなかった人がいると思うの。誰がです？
What? Who could it be?
ねえ、あなた。
Me? Me? Oh, I was like, are they breaking the fourth wall? Are they talking to me right now? Because I definitely did have my doubts. Rena turned to Hanyu and asked her a question.
あなた、信じてた？運命に打ち勝てるって、信じててくれた？触れることができなくても、喋ることができなくても、信じることはできるんだよ。あなたも信じてくれたなら、きっと奇跡が起きた。
Damn, Rena with the ultimate guilt trip, even though I know this isn't actually Rena, because I know Rena has very good perceptive abilities, but I doubt she could, perceive that Hanyu is there.
僕が信じて、何が変わったのでしょうか。僕は何もできない非力な存在なのです。僕は見ていることしかできない。受け入れることしかできない。そんな僕が、信じるだけで奇跡が起こせたというのですか？
ああ、起こせたな。
Keiichi stated it clearly. He wasn't trying to blame her, he was just stating the truth.
そうだね。あの時、こっちは6人だった。向こうは7人だった。あなたが信じてくれてたら、それだけで心は7つだった。だったなら、きっと奇跡が起きた。奇跡はね、触れたり、喋ったりで起こすんじゃないんだよ。信じる気持ちが起こすんだよ。
Hanyu had realized this ending wasn't caused by fate. It was because she didn't believe. In other words, this happened because she was so weak as to accept this fate. She started crying again.
名前も知らないあなた。あなたにも悲しみや辛さと戦う勇気が必要だった。あなたも運命と戦う勇気が必要だった。あなたが望んだなら、みんなが望む世界にきっと行けた。それが、あなただけが信じなかっただけでたどり着けなかったなら、それはあなたの責任なの。
It was hard to believe Rena could say something so harsh. Her words were piercing Hanyu's heart. But those words were necessary for me and for her. Only faith can create a miracle. That sounds like something you might hear in a fairy tale. It's not easy to put it into action. People suspect others. They don't trust others. It's easier to not have hope. It's so difficult to believe. That's why faith can make miracles happen.
僕は触れないのですよ。喋れないのですよ。そんな僕でも信じれば奇跡が起こったというのですか？だって今こうしてレナとあなたは話しているよ。私はあなたと言葉を交わしたのはこれが初めてだけれど、いつもあなたがいるのを知っていた。
Oh, I shouldn't have been surprised. I shouldn't have been surprised Rena knew that there was a presence there.
あなたに言葉をどうすればかけられるか考えていたよ。私たちが楽しく遊んでいるとき、あなただけが輪の外から眺めていたことを知っていたんだよ。だって輪の中に入りたくても僕は誰にも見えないし話しかけられないし、僕を見たらみんな化け物だと言いますです。僕はもう二度と化け物と言われたくないのです。
誰が言うよそんなことを。俺たちと一緒にいたなら俺たちは仲間だ。
そうですわよ。仲間のことを化け物呼ばわりなんて失礼しちゃいますわ。
化け物かどうかは容姿じゃなくて心で決まるんだよ。ね、シオン。そういうことです。まあその見地から言えば私の方がよっぽど化け物ですよ。
頭に角が生えていても僕は化け物とは呼ばれないのでしょうか？身体的特徴で化け物なんて誰も呼ばないよ。むしろキュートなくらいだよ。
レナに気をつけろ。
Yeah, she'll take you home.
変に気に入られるとお持ち帰りされるぞ。
I realized then that I was standing with everyone looking down at my own body. I see. I'm finally dead. I looked at my bloody body by my feet. It upset me that Takano was still enjoying the torture, but the body that remained was nothing but a shell.
大丈夫か、リカちゃん。
死んだ人に大丈夫かとは変な話なのです。
Everyone smiled wryly. It's my first time feeling so much love in death. Everyone is already dead. That's why I feel so happy to be dead, to join them. Suddenly the world got darker and my body started to sink downward. I could feel myself disappearing. I still had the sensation of my friend's hands on mine.
行こうぜ、みんな。
そうだね。あなたもみんなという言葉に含まれてるんだよ。ほら、いつまでも泣いてないで行こう。
My vision had gone dark, but somehow I could still see. Rena offered her hand to Hanyu, and Hanyu slowly took it.
羽生、あなたが私と出会う前に、みんなは絶対にあなたを受け入れてくれるわ。僕がいても楽しいでしょうか？僕はみんなに受け入れてもらえるのでしょうか？うん、だからおいで。
Rena touched Hanyu's hand. It felt like everyone else laid their hands on top too. If only they had hands to do so. Let's go, Hanyu. Let's accept this sorrow. so we can embrace joy as well. Believe in the bright future that's waiting for us. The miracle will happen. We will obtain it. In the last chapter, because there's only one more we can do it in, okay? Yes, Hanyu said with a definite nod. Is that it? What's going on? What's going to happen after this? Oh, it's done. Is it done? What's outside of the well? Is it something worth fighting for? What's outside of the well? Is it something worth getting hurt for? What's outside of the well? I'm going to fight and get hurt in order to find that out. I'm sure what's waiting is a beautiful world, even if I get to the bottom of the well again. The key to the new world is my willingness to get out of here. Even if I can get out or not, I will eventually get to the new world. Damn! Okay, for some reason I guess I thought it was going to be longer, but... Oh man, it makes me want to just like jump right into the next chapter and just... I want the happy ending. We were so close. But now, hopefully, everybody's on the same page. Hanyu will remember, Rika will remember. We can do it, we can take Takano down. I was kind of curious, I was kind of hoping I would see, like, what happened afterwards. Like, we know, like, the connection with the Hinamizawa disaster, you know? It would have been kind of cool. Like, I was thinking it was going to shift over to Takano's point of view, and we were going to see the plan, you know, come to fruition, like, what was going to happen after. Maybe that's going to be... Maybe there'll be a tip with that. Maybe we will get to see the aftermath of it. Oh, here we go. Okay, I knew there had to be something after. Emergency Manual 1. The existence of a terminal patient L5 is confirmed. The Institute Director must resolve the situation before the L5 begins engaging in antisocial behavior. However, they must ensure that the secret remains hidden. To that end, the Director may also request assistance from the Secrecy Preservation Unit. As for the Secrecy Preservation Unit, they may request permission to fire from the Institute Director if necessary. All efforts should be made to secure the L5 subject is alive, but if that proves obstructive to maintaining secrecy, their life may be forfeit. At all times, maintaining secrecy and preventing exposure will be of the highest priority. However, preserving secrecy will take priority over preventing exposure. Emergency Manual Appendix 9 FAQ. Question. Can Emergency Manual 34 be administered if an outbreak of L5 occurs, putting matters beyond the control of the Secrecy Preservation Unit? Additionally, is the Institute Director responsible for determining what constitutes an out-of-control situation like the Hinamizawa disaster? Yes. Question. If an accident occurs and a hazardous material, the H170 series is exposed to the public, can Emergency Manual 34 be administered? Yes. If an accident has occurred and the nature of the Institute is revealed to the public, the Secrecy Preservation Unit will take steps to resolve the situation. However, if this information is spread too widely, can Emergency Manual 34 still be administered? Additionally, is the Institute Director responsible for making that decision? Yes. The decision to execute Emergency Manual 34 must be carefully deliberated over and sanctioned by an official. However, in the case of an emergency, does the Institute Director have the right to make the final decision? The execution of Emergency Manual 34 must be sanctioned by an official at all times. However, the Institute Director may petition the urgency of its use to an official. Emergency Manual 34. Reproduction or removal of this document is prohibited. This manual may only be read with the appropriate permissions. This manual will only apply upon approval by the highest authority. Nothing short of official authorization shall count as approval. Furthermore, those authorized to apply this manual must make their decision as soon as possible when it is required. If the situation threatens to spiral out of control, and the official accedes that this is the case, the Erie Institute must make the final decision to preserve the secret and prevent its detection by others. The following is an outline of how to execute that final resolution. Terminate all patients above L2. Destroy all evidence inside the Institute. Or maybe the Hinamizawa disaster, maybe rather than having it be the airborne disease itself, maybe what happened is because Rika was dead and everybody in the village started to go crazy, they had to contain it, so maybe they put out a gas in the whole village to kill everybody, because at that point everybody would be above L2, right? That might be what ended up happening. So they just wiped out, like, everybody succumbed to the disease, so they just had to wipe the whole village out. Destroy all evidence inside the Institute, and then they blamed it as like, oh, it was a gas leak, you know? Conceal the fact that the manual was administered, and that's why I think when Akasaka and Oishi visited in the one chapter, they visited like years afterwards, and it had basically like didn't like they pour cement on everything to, I guess, to conceal everything, maybe. The contents of this manual must be executed by the Institute director within 48 hours of the incident. And isn't that what happened with Keiichi when he, with the chapter with Sadako, when they found Rika and he fell off the bridge and he woke up, it was like, what, a day or two later, and by that time everybody was already dead because they must have killed everybody. If the director is not available, the chief officer must execute it in his place. The Institute director may demand support from the chief officer in executing this manual. If this manual is expected to be executed, the chief officer may issue the preliminary orders. The final resolution must be executed in the following steps. Ooh, are we going to get into the details here? Disguise the incident. Yes! Yep. Disguise the incident as a natural gas disaster and quarantine the area. The quarantine unit must disguise themselves as police officers and isolate the Hinamizawa region from the outside world. The official explanation must be that there is a gas disaster within the village. The equipment from the operation will be stored at a vacant lot where Yaguchi Quarry used to be. The equipment must undergo routine maintenance. In the event of external breach or internal escape, if they do not respond to the notice of the gas disaster or orders to evacuate, use of firearms is authorized. Oh, damn. The approval to use firearms is given by the chief of the Secrecy Preservation Unit to the chief of the Traffic Blockade Unit. God damn, so, like, everybody is in on it. Like, people are trying to escape and they think it's the, police officers and they just get gunned down by them. Shutting down communications. The Communication Sabotage Unit must ensure all forms of communication, including radio, have been disabled in the Hinamizawa area. They must take care not to fall under suspicion, and communications must be disrupted for a minimal amount of time. The facility belonging to the telephone company is inside the traffic blockade, so any civilians inside may be shot and killed. The chief of the Secrecy Preservation Unit may give permission to use lethal force to the chief of the Communication Sabotage Unit. Assembling the infected carriers. The Secrecy Preservation Unit must assemble the infected populace in the Hinamizawa Regional Disaster Shelter. Refer to the enclosed documents for gathering procedures. So I am shocked, though. It's like at the end when Keiichi, he survived it all and he showed up to the Erie Institute. I'm surprised they didn't just gun him down right away. I guess he wasn't technically infected, so he wasn't an L2 patient, so they couldn't kill him, so they just basically shipped him off to the loony bin instead. Upon assembly, the unit must count the number of infected and confirm everyone is present. Be sure to not allow the infected to expose the true nature of the gas disaster. Additionally, the infected must not be allowed to bring any large personal belongings with them. However, they may take their valuables, including bank books and cash. Infected who refuse to assemble may be shot, but the chief of the Secrecy Preservation Unit must carefully consider the decision to do so. Terminating the infected. Once they are assembled, the Secrecy Preservation Unit must terminate all the infected. Before that point, care must be taken to ensure they are not suspicious of the story of the gas disaster. Be sure they are treated as humanely as possible. If any problems occur, the unit has approval to fire their weapons. The chief of the Secrecy Preservation Unit must also make that decision. Bodies with shotgun wounds should not be placed together with those that have been poisoned. Concealment of the Institute. The Institute Concealment Unit must collect all the classified items, refer to the 193 items in the appendix, in the Institute in order to suppress the evidence. Refer to the appendix for more detailed instructions. The research staff of the Institute must assist with this operation. This unit must exercise extreme caution as they will be handling a number of toxic substances. Strict quarantine must be maintained of the concealment block. The airproof door must be welded shut and the underground area must be flooded. The entrance to the area must be welded shut and concealed completely. Furthermore, the concealment block will be completely removed within 3 years. The Institute Concealment Unit must eliminate all civilians who would try to approach the Institute. The use of firearms is not permitted except in emergencies. The chief of the Secrecy Preservation Unit may give the order to fire. Searching the village. The Secrecy Preservation Unit must search the whole village for any survivors. Any person who is not present during the assembly must be found. Any survivors found after the termination of the infected may be shot immediately. But that didn't happen. That didn't happen to Keiichi. He survived. However, if the survivor is willing to surrender, okay. Do not shoot and instead take him into the custody of the Secrecy Preservation Unit. The unit must then terminate the captive using the same method as for the other infected. But I'm just thinking, maybe I'm wrong about this. Didn't Keiichi live in, like, he got interviewed by that journalist or something, right? Am I thinking of the right chapter? And he lived for years after, and then he died where apparently, like, he heard the footsteps and then he had a heart attack or something, but, like, he lived for years afterwards. Post-mission transfer to General Forces. Transfer the job to the official disaster recovery team. Make sure not to arouse suspicion. Complete withdrawal. After the completion of all operations, the Secrecy Protection Unit will retreat from the Hinamizawa area. They must be careful not to be suspected by the disaster recovery team. Furthermore, the Institute will continue to secure the concealment block until complete removal is finished. Alright, the Queen and her carriers. I love it. We're getting the answer. So now we know the Hinamizawa disaster, as I thought it was that they were putting the airborne disease out there to cause everyone to kind of go crazy and die, but no, what happened was they went crazy because of Rika's death, and then they just killed everybody, but they wrote it off as like, oh, it was a gas leak. It is assumed that the pathogen has the same characteristics as creatures such as ants. There is a queen of the carriers of the disease, just like there is a queen ant, and this position has been passed down the line of the Verde family. This assumption is made based on the legends and ancient writings that have been passed down in the village. It is already confirmed that carriers have a tendency to protect their queen. Additionally, the queen carrier can only survive within the boundary of the village. Probability of outbreak. As ordinary patients will become ill when they travel far away from the queen, it's assumed the further and longer they are away from her, the higher the chances of symptoms occurring becomes. Also, mental state plays a strong factor as well, and it's estimated that those who are especially emotionally unstable or show strong yearning for their home are more likely to exhibit symptoms. It is believed that the Takano relaxation method is the most effective means of suppressing symptoms, but if the patient still shows no improvement, only returning them to their home and the queen will be effective. Concerning terminal patients. Terminal patients, as they suffer from an extreme persecution complex, are incapable of functioning within society. Cases of arson and murder have been confirmed. They may present severe problems for their units. Records show that terminal patients appear even in Hinamizawa, and they will not recover even if located near the queen. Therefore, the decision to dispose of the problem must be made as soon as possible. It's recommended the infected be quarantined before they start behaving irregularly. We suggest tracking down those formerly from Hinamizawa and placing them under special medical observation. The collapse of the carrier community. For the aforementioned reasons, we predict that should the queen carrier die, infected villagers will exhibit terminal symptoms on a village-wide scale. Terminal symptoms will begin showing within 24 hours at the earliest and 48 at the latest. For that reason, the final decision must be made within 48 hours. Based on the size of the village, neither ordinary officers nor the military police may be able to control the chaos they may bring. We believe the best response is to treat them as an armed, anti-national uprising and immediately suppress them with the military. January 1945. To Colonel Koizumi of the Supreme Council for the Direction of War. From Hifumi Takano. June 23, 1983. Document E420 for the 58th Defense Commissionary. And TECOM 733 Commander. TECOM 733 is hereby ordered to be on standby within 24 hours, armed for urban suppression. The company commander must also thoroughly study Emergency Manual 34. Select personnel carefully with the preservation of secrecy in mind. Additionally, test the effectiveness of the vaccine with the support of the National Research Center of Infectious Diseases. Employ those with positive immunity. June 23, 1983. Document E711 for the 58th Director of the NIHS. Attention Equipment Testing Company Commander 733. The National Research Center of Infectious Diseases. Infectious Pathogens Department, Suite 13. Official seal omitted. Man, a lot of information. The last hour of this is just like a big info dump about the Hinamizawa syndrome. This is information regarding the Hinamizawa syndrome. The Hinamizawa syndrome is an infectious disease caused by a virus. There are no initial symptoms. Instead, their onset begins when the patient's emotional state becomes unstable, or if the queen carrier dies. The main symptoms of the illness are hallucinations and emotional instability, paired with an extreme persecution complex. Furthermore, patients are frequently unaware of their own mental abnormalities, making identification outside examination nearly impossible. The only way to do so is by observing symptoms indicative of terminal, abnormal behavior. In many cases, patients engage in antisocial behavior, which is the largest issue caused by the syndrome. This behavior is caused by hormonal factors, as this disease mainly affects the mind as opposed to the body. In the end, the patients will experience extreme irritation in their lymph nodes, and they will claw at their throats or wrists. This is the only symptom that is recognized by the patient. Important points regarding the sterilization operation. This is an advisory notice for virus control. The pathogen is an airborne infectious virus. Therefore, no effective preventative methods exist, and inoculation is required. After the mission is completed, all staff members must take a medical exam, and those with positive test results must come forward. Be cautious when interacting with the carriers, villagers. Even after inoculation, any contact with their bodily fluids will cause infection. Do not come into direct contact with them. If assumed infected, individuals must use the testing syringe and test themselves for the disease. If you feel an extreme irritation in your lymph nodes, it's likely you have terminal symptoms. In that case, you must get tested immediately. If test results come out positive, inject the treatment medication C120. If the irritation persists after 10 minutes, use a second injection. If there is still no change in symptoms, seek treatment at HQ. Do not use C120 if your test results are not positive. If used on a healthy body, symptoms of high fever, rashes, dilated pupils, and hallucination will be observable within 10 minutes. If this occurs, one must seek treatment at HQ. Government officials explain the entire situation in a luxurious meeting room adorned with marble table and crystal ashtrays. The chief cabinet secretary was in a panic. He'd never heard about any of this before. Feelings of panic were only natural. One girl's death was going to drive 2,000 villagers into a frenzy. Hearing that a disease like this exists was surprising enough. But on top of that, it was secretly researched for military use, and now there was a horrific situation caused by the director of the local research institute engaging in embezzlement. So they don't believe it's Takano, they think it was all eerie. So Takano, she does have this weird thing where she wants to become a god, so did she secretly kind of usurp them? Where she had her own, she used her own team and she employed... I'm a little confused about this, if this was sanctioned by this Tokyo group, if they knew exactly what was going to happen, or if Takano kind of went rogue and did this herself. I'm guessing not, based on the whole, emergency manual. I'm guessing that's exactly what they wanted to happen.
国立研究所の説明では、重度感染者の発症に対する治療法は確立したばかりで、全住民への対応は事実上不可能とのことです。最短で24時間以内、長くとも48時間以内に山荘の人口2000人が全て末期発症するとのことです。甚大な被害と影響が予想されます。
The danger of this Hinamizawa syndrome was explained over and over again to the chief secretary. He didn't have anything more to say, but that didn't mean that he could blindly accept it either. He simply couldn't believe the only way to resolve the situation was to kill all 2,000 infected villagers.
そりゃ大変なことになるのはわかるけど、そんなの許可できるわけないだろう。そもそもなんでこんな危険な病気を隠蔽して研究なんかしてたんだ。そもそもそういう事態を招いたのはその関係の連中の責任じゃないのかね。第一、こんな危険な研究は今や日本の国益に貢献しないどころか損ないかねんぞ。どうして昭和の58年までこんな馬鹿げた研究をしていたんだ。報告書によれば研究目的のために撲滅を意図的に遅らせていたそうじゃないか。しかも汚職をめぐるトラブルの果てにこんな事態だ。これはテロだよ、テロ。東京の老害だ。こんな研究を指示していた人間には全員責任を取ってもらうぞ。いつまでも大戦の亡霊に取りつかれている連中を追放したまえ。これは東京の海を出すいい機会じゃないのかね。
責任者の追及は必ず行いますが、それより前に対応を考えなければなりません。
A man standing by the window slowly turned around and opened his mouth.
総理、ご決断を。
滅菌作戦を承認しない場合のシミュレートを聞かせてください。
はい。今から36時間後には村人のほぼ10割が末期発症、末期的な被害妄想に取りつかれ、反社会的な行為を行います。想定されるのは自殺、殺人、放火、強盗、その他異常行動、治安の完全なる崩壊です。騒動はおそらくひなみざわ地区のみでなく周辺地区へも波及します。結果、世界規模での注目を浴びることになるでしょう。民間の独自調査の結果、奇病が原因であることが発覚するのは食い止められません。野党は奇病の対応の不手際を政争の具に、また東京内でも総理の対応に批判が高まるでしょう。彼らの指示は総理の列島改造に欠かせません。そして何よりも軍事目的での研究が政府内部から暴かれる可能性があります。これだけは断固阻止しなくては我が国に致命的信用ダメージを与えかねません。
逆に滅菌作戦を承認した場合はどうなりますか？
はい、自然災害を装いますので、やはり対応の不手際の野党追及は避けられません。ただし奇病研究について発覚することはないでしょう。もし万が一奇病の軍事的研究が世界に発覚したら、我が国はアジア地域でのイニシアチブを完全に喪失します。
他国の援助を受ける政党は一大キャンペーンを張るな、売国どめ。そうなれば野党の政権奪取は必至だよ。日本は宣戦布告なくして占領されるぞ。
シミュレートの結果では第2党第3党が連立した場合、与野党の勢力は完全に反転します。国際世論は我が国を一斉に非難、国連に対し NBC 兵器開発疑惑の査察を要求するでしょう。近隣国は政府主導でバッシングキャンペーンを展開、高支持率を背景に対日外交を強硬路線に転換します。我が国は政治的焦土と化すでしょ
う。国際信用はペンペン草一本残らんということかね。くさ、つまりひなみざわ地区と周辺自治体の数十万人だけの問題では済まんということだな。全てを闇に葬るための犠牲が2000人とは多すぎる。
日本国内において生物兵器研究が行われていたことが露呈することだけは避けなければなりません。
私はどうやら大戦の亡霊の尻を吹く羽目になりそうですね。
滅菌作戦は計画通りに隠密で実行できるのかね。滅菌作戦が発覚すれば奇病研究以上の大スキャンダルになるぞ。
はい、ご安心ください。それにつきましては自衛隊内の機密保持に特化した専門部隊が当たります。このような事態を想定し研究と訓練を重ねた部隊です。万一の失敗はありえません。
都市沈黙戦という言葉は初めて聞きましたが、これはガスによる虐殺のことですね。自衛隊にガス戦を習熟した部隊があったとは驚きました。
ガス防護を知るにはガス戦を知らなければなりません。ガス虐殺に備えるにはガス虐殺を知らねばなりません。装備実験隊は日本国が受ける可能性のある全ての攻撃に対し日夜研究を重ねています。
He let out a small sigh. He couldn't see the line between ethical and unethical. Can any research be justified by the excuse of preparing against hostilities? Well, that's also what preparation was all about. Some evils must be accepted as necessary. The Erie Institute was one such evil.
明かせぬ研究を葬るために明かせぬ方法を取るか。罪悪感の伴う任務だが、隊員から事実が漏れ出すことはないのかね。
ありえません。隊員は第一空挺から精鋭を選抜し、さらに高い忠誠心を持つ者のみで構成しております。実戦はこれが初めてになりますが、 練度は極めて高く、内部の機密保持も問題ありません。
まさに暗殺の専門部隊ですね。
総理、どうか緊急マニュアル第34号の執行にご決裁をお願いいたします。
防衛庁長官、この作戦は必ず成功しますか？事件が大騒ぎになる前に食い止められますか？いえ、犠牲者を最小限に抑えられますか？
はい、総理。すでに予備命令を発し、作戦準備に入っております。ご決裁がいただければ直ちに出動して作戦に入ります。
私には人口2000人を虐殺する命令など下せません。ですが内閣総理大臣として犠牲者を最小に抑える義務もあります。
胸中をお察しします。
長官、どうか犠牲者が一番少なくて済む方法を選択してください。2000人がどうしても治療できないなら、不必要な犠牲者が出ないよう迅速な対応をお願いいたします。
はい、ご決裁を必ずや朗報をお持ちいたします。
2000人の犠牲が朗報と呼べるならですがね。奥野君、東京の皆さんに近日中にお会いできる席を設けてください。今回の件について釈明を直接聞かせていただきたいと思います。
わかりました。
ところで、その問題の研究所長の入江氏は逮捕しましたか？
いえ、服毒自殺とのことです。
Man, poor Erie. It's like he was like one of the good guys and they just smeared his name and basically made him the scapegoat.
研究の終了が自身の人生を否定されたものと悲観しての発作的犯行と思われていますが、
彼を凶器に駆り立てた理由は永遠に闇の中ということですか？
The execution of Emergency Manual 34 is approved. June 23rd, 1983. Prime Minister. Director General of the Defense Agency. So are we going to see the aftermath? Oh,
皆さん、
oh, here we are.
都合で荷物を持つことはできません。
Oh, here we are. We are seeing it happen.
手荷物は禁じます。繰り返します。手荷物は禁じます。
Oh, this is so sad just knowing that these people have no idea what's going on. They're all just going to get slaughtered.
現金通帳印鑑の類だけを携帯してください。混乱防止のため車両避難は禁じています。
It was the middle of the night, and yet countless villagers were out and about. Some of them were locking their doors, some of them were watering their plants, and some of them were piling up food in their dogs' dinner bowls. Oh, it's so sad. Like, I could imagine that, like, if I wasn't able to take my pets with me, well, fuck, if I couldn't take my pets with me, I don't know if I'd be able to leave, but just, like, it's just such mundane things. They're like, well, just them being like, well, we're gonna be back, and not knowing what's gonna happen. Small children were crying in fear. Members of the town council were yelling angrily while counting up the villagers. Reportedly, the village had been cut off from the rest of the world after volcanic gas gushed out of the mountains. The number of policemen and military units in the village, added to the strong smell of sulfur in the air, dispelled any doubts the villagers might have had. The more religious among the elderly were convinced this was the curse of Rika Verde, who had passed away the day before. They were certain that Oyashiro-sama was enraged and that the door to hell had been opened. Soldiers wearing gas masks guided the villagers to the evacuation center.
なんで兵隊さんは災害なのに鉄砲を持ってきとるんじゃ。
皆さんが避難した後の家屋を守るためです。また災害に便乗して商店を襲撃するボートに対してです。
Hinamizawaにそんな輩はおらんのじゃ。
第一小隊避難誘導順調。了解。一個分隊を応援に向かわせます。
兵隊さん、じいさまの位牌を持ってんじゃならんがね。
位牌は構いません。急いでください。町会の方は天候を怠らないように。歩行困難な方は申し出てください。隊員が補助します。
Ugh, and they just sound like they're being so helpful, and then they're just knowing that they're gonna kill all these people.
ああ、リカちゃまが殺されたから、お社様がお怒りになったのじゃ。
お社様、お社様、お社様。どうか怒りをお鎮めください。防災訓練通りに避難しちゃり。班長は天候終わったら、町会役員に連絡せんかいで。
鬼が淵から正気が溢れ出したね。お社様はお怒りだね。
こんなに大勢いるんじゃん。助かる方法なんかなかとよ。村で死なせてくれな。
大丈夫です。 輸送ヘリとボーガス仕様のバスが回されます。必ず助かりますから。
みんな、エリン署へ集まれ。
Well, the guy got his wish. He's gonna die. He's gonna die in the village, so.
4丁目は違うだろう。郵便局裏の公民館だぞ。
皆さん、防災訓練と同じです。落ち着いて災害時避難場所に集合してください。団体行動をお願いします。一人の乱れがどうか団体行動を。家には必ず戻れます。
The villagers couldn't see the expressions under the soldiers' gas masks. They wondered what kind of expressions they were hiding under there. The soldiers were, of course, lying to the villagers, knowing they would never return to their homes again. One such trooper cried under his mask, but the villagers never saw his tears.
引き返してください。車両での避難は禁止されています。この先はガス流で寸断されており危険です。あんたにも硫黄の匂いがわかるでしょう。
Some people tried to leave in their cars so as to take large items with them. However, the quarantine unit had sealed off all roads leading outside. The gas mask of the troopers and the smell of the sulfur persuaded them to return and obey their instructions. Some of them tried to contact Okonomiya, but their phones would not connect. The lines were busy no matter how much they tried. They simply assumed the phone lines were overwhelmed because of the disaster. Some of the villagers had access to radios. They tried to figure out what the situation was like outside, but all they could hear over the radio was loud static. It was the same with the television. They couldn't contact anyone outside the village, so they really were totally isolated. And so they had nothing to rely on but the instructions of the police and the military. They were all like moths heading towards a light, never doubting that they would be safe there. One old veteran listened to the noises from the radio and muttered,
アメさんの妨害電波食らった時もこんな音がしたんね。
As it turned out, he was absolutely correct. However, he turned off the radio when his son urged him to evacuate. The villagers had all gathered at their evacuation points. Some of them were at the school and some of them were at the community center. They were to stay in the building until the evacuation vehicles arrived. The soldiers told them to stay inside so they could keep track of the number of evacuees.
万一のガス流に備えて窓はすべて閉めてください。念のため窓ガラスはテープで目張りします。申し訳ございませんがご協力をお願いいたします。よし来た。若いのは率先して手伝え。
No, they're just so scary to think if anything like this happened and be like, you gotta hope that the police and the military are on your side, but they might be covering up something and you wouldn't even know. People started to seal up all the windows and vents with the duct tape that was handed to them. They completely sealed every opening, even as they heard the disquieting conversation of the soldiers. It was long past 3 a.m., but everyone was wide awake with fear. They were having an extremely long night. Coincidentally, the end of their night had almost arrived.
全部お社様のたたりないしゃ。リカちゃま、リカちゃま、お社様、お社様。
やっぱりフルテ神社の鬼隠しはお社様のお怒りの詐欺ぶれだったんだ。
あの日フルテ神社は鬼の国に飲み込まれたんよ。リカちゃまは鬼たちに腹渡を食らわれたんじゃ。
They all started saying the gas disaster was caused by the curse of Oyashiro-sama, and Rika's deaths and the mysterious disappearance of her friends and the 2 detectives were also the result of the curse. People started talking about being demoned away. They had no idea that Keiichi and his friends' short battle sealed their fate for that night. The more religious villagers had become convinced the children and the detectives went missing, because they volunteered to become a sacrifice to calm Oyashiro-sama's anger after Rika's death. They didn't know the truth. They couldn't know. Not one realized that Keiichi and his friends' efforts had all been in vain. Indeed, in Hinamizawa, everything that happens is the will of Oyashiro-sama. But why did it have to be that way? Before the series of mysterious deaths occurred, no one really used the term the curse of Oyashiro-sama that frequently. In other words, who set them up? People in this village were set up to believe the curse of Oyashiro-sama happens every year. They really are just too superstitious.
サンさん、全小隊が点呼を終了しました。遅れていた自主避難者も全員揃いました。
そう。いよいよね。お社様のたたりが現実となる。 お社様の生まれ変わりである古出理香を綿流しにするという冒涜によって、お社様の怒りが村に下される。それで、この5年間の連続したたたりは、本当の神罰に昇格される。もう誰にも事件なんて呼ばせない。これは、荒ぶる神の怒りなのだから。始めなさい。
It's so creepy how much
中
joy
隊
she
長より
takes in
全隊
this.
員へ彼らのために1分間の黙祷を捧げよう。サンサ、1分だけご許可を。
お好きになさい。
Takano gave him a disparaging laugh. The company commander crossed his heart and began to speak.
天に召します我らの父よ、罪なき彼らをどうかお導きくださ
I
い。
mean, I'm glad that we're seeing this because it really drives home just how fucked up this is, because it was just kind of like Keiichi just saw the aftermath of it, not seeing just how terrible this is.
彼らの尊き犠牲がそれ以上の犠牲を防ぐことをどうか報いてください。そして願わくば罪深き我らをお許しください。我らが今日ここにあることをお許しください。
The company commander isn't Christian. In fact, he doesn't follow any religion. However, he prayed because he felt the need to ask someone for forgiveness. He wasn't even sure if he was saying it correctly, but he still prayed to God. He asked forgiveness for committing his sin and continued to pray. Takano was speaking in a soft voice. She was talking to herself.
神がいつ降臨されるのかは誰も知らない。それは例えるなら、泥棒がいつ訪れるのかわからないように。だから予期せずしてその時を迎えて、不信心であったことに歯ぎしりすることがないよう、エセ預言者たちは神の降臨を声高に叫ぶであろうが、それに惑わされてはなりませんか。
One man heard her murmurs.
マタイの福音書ですね。
そうなの？祖父の好きだった言葉よ。報われる日がいつ訪れるかわからないから、常に勤勉であれって言葉だと思っていたけど。
今日が報われる日なのですか？
そうよ。あなたにはわからないでしょうけどね。
Even I don't understand it. All I know is she has this weird thing about becoming a god and ascending to godhood and becoming the new Oyashiro-sama.
失礼ながら、主の降臨は慈悲深いものであるべきだと信じています。このような日にそれを例えられることは冒涜かと思います。
He was trying to tell her using the verse of the Bible was inappropriate for the occasion. Read the room, Takano, read the room. However, Takano simply laughed as though she had heard something very funny.
ごめんなさいね。あなたは神に試されなさい。私は今日を境に試す側となるのよ。
以上で黙祷を終了する。
And with the end of the silence,
全小隊、滅菌を開始せよ。
the order was given in as hollow and reluctant a manner as an order can possibly be. Now
今こそ、私の理想はすべて完成した。文字通りの理想郷がここにはある。ここでは私は神で、私のたたりは永遠に刻まれ、語り継がれるのだ。
People were packed in the classroom. They were afraid. The troopers closed the door of the classroom. The people inside had no idea why they were doing that. However, they didn't suspect anything at all. One old man walked up to the door to open it, because with it closed it was far too hot inside the room, but he collapsed all of a sudden. His wife tried to walk over to help him up, but she also collapsed all of a sudden. Then, other people also started collapsing inside the room. It really was a very odd sight. What would make for a good example? It would be pretty amusing if they were dominoes. However, they're human beings. People sitting by the window watched this strange event happen before their eyes. They opened their eyes wider to try and understand what was going on.
ダム戦争をきっかけに、長き眠りからよみがえった荒ぶる神が、不信心なる者を 綿流しの聖夜の旅にたたりを下してゆく。その一年一年の積み重ねが神の復活、お社様の意向の復活、たたりを恐れるという原始的恐怖への回帰。
The door creaked open slightly, and someone on the other room threw 3 spray canisters into the room. More people started to collapse, even those at the window. This wasn't something that was happening only in one room. It was happening in all the other rooms, too. It was happening in all the evacuation centers. People's dreams, their hopes and their futures, were taken away so quickly and easily.
そして誰もがお社様のたたりを疑わなくなり、完全に復活した我は、古きムクロの腹を内より破りて、今こそこの世によみがえる。お社様の怒りに触れるとき、地獄の釜が開きて正気があふれ出し、人々は逃げることもかなわず、ことごとく生き絶えるなり。その最後の審判が、たたりが、こうして実現した。
There was a commotion in the reception room by the principal's office. Someone had figured out what was going on, broke the seal off the window, and escaped outside. Other people tried to remove the seal on their windows too, but they collapsed in a matter of seconds.
あなたは死んだら何が残る？身は腐り、焼かれ、骨は砕かれ砂になる。大地の肥やしになる以上の何が残せるの？
応接室で脱走発生。4名が窓から脱出。発砲許可。撃て撃て撃て撃て撃て撃て。
The soldiers shot the people who tried to escape in the back. The sound of the gunshots echoed in the silence. It was a noise filled with cruelty. They helplessly fell down to the ground. Their deaths were so pitiful compared to the silent deaths of those before them. The residential police officer was one of the escapees. He tried to shoot back at them with his own gun. His shots could be heard throughout the building. The soldiers ducked into the shadows upon hearing the noise. The officer seized his chance and ran towards the gate, but that was just a waste of time. Not only is the range of the automatic weapons they were using longer than the length of the schoolyard, but as trained professionals it would be nothing for them to shoot him from that distance. The villagers had no choice. Either they'd die from the gas without realizing what was happening, or they'd find out about the mission and be killed.
どうした？応答しろ！
脱走者全員の逃亡阻止。受精は駐在警官が反撃したものです。
射殺隊を回収しろ。
一般犠牲者と一緒にしないよう注意せよ。
The soldiers walked over to the 4 fallen bodies. They needed to make sure they were all dead, not just injured.
私は残した。名を残した。偉業を残した。たたりを残した。私の存在は、この長く封鎖されるこの土地で神格化されるだろう。そして、近隣の町にて今日のたたりを逃れた者たちは、たたりを恐れ、その恐怖を人々に語り継ぐだろう。人間の群れの記憶が、私を超越した存在へ昇華させるのだ。
第一小隊より本部、エイリン署の滅菌を終了。脱走者4名は射殺。
第二小隊より本部、作戦終了。
脱走者なし。
第三小隊より本部、脱走者10名以上、現在相当中。制圧は時間の問題。
第4小隊より本部、滅菌終了。脱走者なし。
第3小隊より本部、脱走者13名全員の射殺を確認。全員の滅菌を終了。
了解。 機密保持部隊の全小隊は確認を厳重に行われたし。
Takano was laughing to herself inside of the van. She didn't physically see all those people dying silently. But she saw it anyway. She saw countless people dying without even noticing it. She saw it all in her mind. Takano waved her arms in the air. No one was watching her, but no one would understand what she was doing, even if they were. She was waving her baton. Takano was pretending she was the conductor of this silent funeral march.
さあさあ、非常時対策の完全終了を確認。通信妨害を終了しますが、よろしい。
いいわよ。
施設処理部隊より定時連絡。機密搬出と溶接封鎖を完了。現在注水中。
交通封鎖部隊より定時連絡。封鎖線は異常なし。
通信工作部隊より定時連絡。通信妨害を終了。電話施設の現状復帰を開始。
Takano was paying no attention to those reports. She continued to sing the melody of an orchestra. One operator spoke to her.
ご機嫌ですね。
最高に気分がいい夜よ。あなたには聞こえないでしょうね。この新しい神を称える賛歌が。
賛歌
They just backed
ではあり
away
ますか。
slowly from Takano. Takano laughed loudly, spreading her arms wide.
そうよ。称える歌。神のいなかったこの地に新しい神が誕生した瞬間を称える賛歌よ。このひなみ沢には神などいなかった。お社様という名が残るだけ。神がかつて存在した痕跡が残るだけのただの古ぼけた土地だった。その地に私は再び神を取り戻させたの。どういうことかわかる？わからないでしょうね。今の世界にたたる神が何人いる？人が試すことに耐えられる神が何人いる？一人もいやしない。それを私がたたった。
Takano laughed as if she were the only one who could comprehend what she was saying. None of the operators inside the car could comprehend her laughter. It's funny, usually she's so soft-spoken. To see her, she's just like full-on reveling in this. It's kind of crazy. Takano was satisfied to know that.
たたりなきは神にあらず。たたるゆえに恐れられ、恐れられるゆえに崇められる。それこそが神の真実。神が信仰を生み出すのではなく、信仰が神を生み出すのなら、でも太古の神々はたたったのよ。では、神のたたりとは何なのか。それこそが真の神の証だった。たたらない神など、人間に見下された神でしかないのよ。神の宿らぬ抜け殻の土地に、神が確かに存在した痕跡を見た私は思ったわ。これは天の啓示だと。ダム戦争が終わるまで、明治から100年にもわたり、ひなみ沢は神を失ってきた。それを私が蘇らせろという神の啓示だと私は思ったわ。そして天は私にありとあらゆる力を貸してくれた。天が与えたわずかの偶然が積もり、芽生えたたたりの芽を私が育てた。育まれたたたりは今や結実し、そうよ、わかる？つまりは今宵は収穫祭。
Damn, she's like she's been holding this in until this night. Now she can let loose and be her true self.
お社様の伝説に刻まれた最後の神のたたりの日。この日が訪れたからこそ、お社様の存在は今こそ絶対となる。あなたたちは今は分からなくてもやがて知る。私が成した偉業がどれほどのものか、どれだけ長く語り継がれるか。そして私がどれほどの存在となったのか。神はたたる。そのたたりを私は起こす。今こそ我はお社様のたたりなり。
So, I mean, obviously we know what. She wanted to be a god. She wanted to be, like, she wanted to write her name in history. Even if it's not, like, no one knows it actually was her. But she wants, like, she's like, history will know of what happened here. And I will be a god because I made this happen. I can imagine, like, during the interview process, because obviously we know that the Tokyo group, this isn't what they wanted. They didn't want to, like, make Oyashiro-sama real. That was Takano. But I can just imagine, like, during the interview process for her to be, you know, like, in charge of this. She'd be like, no one, you will not find anyone as enthusiastic about this as me, and technically she's right.
我をあがめよ、たたえよ、そして恐れよ。我が紡ぐはたたりにあらず、我が紡ぐは歴史なり。歴史はたたりを語り、我が存在を永劫に語り伝えるであろう。我こそはたたりなり。肉でできた身を超越せし者なり。この身がたとえ朽ち果てようとも、我が紡ぎし歴史は、今こそ我は永遠を得たり。我が身を呪えよ人間たち。身が朽ちれば後には何も残せぬ無力さを呪い、そして我が偉大さを知るがいい。我こそはお社様なり。今こそ神の領域に至ったものなり。我は肉体が滅びようとも永遠にこの地で語り継がれるのだ。
I gotta say, props to the voice actress. They're like, alright, you have permission now, you let loose. She just turns around. Damn, that laughter though. She just turns around, there's nobody in the van anymore. They've all, like, just run. That is terrifying. She's scary.
我はお社様。我こそはお社様のたたり。我をあがめよ。たたえよ。そして恐れよ。我が紡ぐはたたりにあらず。死にあらず。我が紡ぐは歴史なり。歴史はたたりを語り、我が存在を永劫に語り伝えるであろう。我こそはたたりなり。肉でできた身を超越せし者なり。この身がたとえ朽ち果てようとも、我が紡ぎし歴史は永遠に残り続けるであろう。今こそ我は永遠を得たり。我が身を呪えよ、人間たち。身が朽ちれば、後には何も残せぬ無力さを呪い、悔やみ、恐れるがいい。そして、我が偉大さを知るがいい。我こそは、お社様なり。今こそ、神の領域に至ったものなり。我は肉体が滅びようとも、永遠にこの地で語り継がれて、永遠の生を受けるのだ。
Damn. Oh, I can't wait to take her down in the last chapter, hopefully. Hopefully we can stop her. We can end this. Man, what a great villain, though. Shit. Alright, this fragment's end. I guess Rika finally managed to assemble all the pieces to her puzzle. But we don't know yet if her memories will pass on to her next life. Rika always loses the memory of her death. I don't know if she can retain the memories of what she's discovered. What do you think? Did you have fun? I mean, fun is, I wouldn't say fun. Once you find out the answers, collecting them isn't so fun anymore. You don't agree? I see. You still might find something different by examining some old fragments. After all, the time we have here is endless. We have to find something to play with because there's nothing to do here. For me, playing with these fragments stops being fun when I find out what's inside. But if you can tell me how to have fun with them even so, that makes you pretty smart. What? You want to know what I play with? I don't play, I'm just killing time. I like to imagine what Rika could have done in order to achieve the future she hopes for. I like to imagine a world that would have been happy for all of them. You found out how these worlds are set up by looking at the previous ones, right? I like to analyze what would need to change in order for Rika to win against Takano. You want to see what's on my mind? Too bad. I'm not showing that to you. In that world, Rika and her friends survived their struggle and broke through the fate of June 1983. It's just my imagination. It's not for me to share with you. I'm sure the world that Rika is about to create is better than anything in my imagination. Even if she's stuck on June 19th, 1983, I'm sure this now-ended world will remain one of Rika's brightest fragments either way. No matter how much she struggles, if she actually overcomes her fate, it will be the most brilliant fragment of her story. I'm sure the life Rika lives makes for a better story than my boring imagination. You want to know what happened to Rika? She made a decision to redo her life once again with Hanyu. She's trying to live her life with all her might. That's what she learned from this world. Her next life has already begun, and we're gonna start it soon. I do wonder what that life is like. I'm going there now to check. Do you want to come with me? I will. Next week. Alright, and let's wrap this up with the staff room. Hi, this is Ch.7. Thank you for playing Higurashi When They Cry, Minagoroshi. This time around, the scenario was almost like the answer page in a book of riddles. Or maybe the scenario was like a side dish we enjoyed alongside all the scenarios up until now. You can take it how you like. I just hope you enjoyed it. I was very nervous about releasing this scenario because mystery is only good when it's still a mystery. This scenario marks the end of that mystery. To be honest, I didn't want to realize this chapter for a while. However, way too many similar stories are being published with no answers at all. A book of riddles means nothing if there's no answer page in the back. Coming up with an answer when you have no way to see if it's right or not is a little sad, I think. If there's no answers, you can't get any joy out of reading a book of riddles. I regret to see there are way too many stories out there that don't offer this kind of joy. That's why I decided to release something you can compare your answer to for the series. Since this world has a rather irregular presentation, there may not have been many people who reached what might be called the right answer. But it's not really about whether your answer was right or wrong. It's much more about how many questions you raised while reading the story and how many answers you were able to find. Thank you all very much for the solutions you've sent me. They were all wonderful theories, and some were thought out so much more than the actual story that I frequently thought about making them the right answer. Also, your support has given me courage to finish writing the 7th chapter of this series. Thank you for supporting Higurashi. Finally, I would like to apologize about how I portrayed the Child Consultation Center. I don't know what it was like in 1983, but child consultation centers are not mean places like I depicted in my story. I made the characters look so unfeeling, but in reality, the government today is the #1 hero for us civilians. In fact, those involved with child welfare and youth education are all extremely passionate and selflessly devoted people. I'm sorry for giving them such a negative image in this chapter. The next chapter, Matsuriabashi, is going to be the last one of the series. Man, guys, I can't believe it. I can't believe I'm wrapping this up soon. I'm overwhelmed by the pressure of writing the last chapter of Higurashi When They Cry, which turned out to be such a long story. I hope you'll continue your kind support. Thank you all very much. Alright, we're done. We're done. Chapter 8. That was amazing and sad. It gave me such hope. There were such highs and such lows. And I can't believe we're wrapping up Higurashi soon. One more chapter to go. It's coming to an end soon. I don't know how long this last chapter is going to be. I hope it's a long one, because I'm like, I don't want to give this up just yet. But I want answers. I want to know if Rika and her friends will finally have the happy ending that they want, and if they can take Takano and the Tokyo group down. I am so excited. I know I say this every time I finish a chapter, but like, especially knowing this is the finale, I can't wait to see how this is going to end. I hope you guys enjoyed this extra long finale. I hope you enjoyed this chapter. It was amazing. Oh, man, I can't get over that. Like, I was hoping. I was like, I should have known. I should have known this wasn't going to be the one, because there was one chapter left. That this wasn't going to be the one that ended happily. But it gave me that hope towards the end, and then just ripped it away in the worst possible way. It was so dark. This was such a dark ending, but it was so good. So I hope you guys are excited for the last chapter starting next Friday. I am so psyched. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching up until this point, and I hope to catch you for the last chapter next Friday. Until next time, bye guys. Special shout out to my top tier patrons: Namara Kito, Sparky, I Cognito, Simon Rax, Mad Goldsmith, Harry Gazif, and Asborn Kennedy.